Hello and welcome back to the channel for Score Predictions with a View. Not a bad view, is it? And yeah, we are on Thursday. It was supposed to go out yesterday. Unfortunately, time just kind of ran out a little bit. But we have been doing a weekly score prediction video, and we're going to do that now because there is a match tonight, France versus Namibia. We've got Argentina versus Samoa tomorrow, which we're going to be doing at the fan. Well, I'm going to be going to the fan park to watch it from there, which is going to be very cool. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running through the fixtures. I'm going to be giving you guys some of my thoughts and some of my score predictions, and we'll revisit the video in a week's time, or rather you can revisit the video in a week's time. I tend not to do it because it's not been particularly good so far. I don't really want to relive the bad predictions. First weekend was pretty good from a fantasy perspective, but dreadful from a SUPERBRU perspective. So let's go through it, shall we? So we start with France versus Namibia. Now the question is just how many tries, how big of a scoreboard are we looking at? New Zealand hammered Namibia very, very easily as well. So you expect a lot of tries tonight, and you expect a lot of points. The question is how many. Namibia have been pretty poor, to be honest. People talk about them being brave, and yes, it's a whole different golfing quality, different class teams really on display. But at the end of the day, Namibia just can't compete. So you're looking for France versus Namibia. I'm going to go with a 70+ points difference. I do think that France, having gone basically full strength, are going to basically decimate them in every single facet of the game. I don't really see where they managed to cope, and I think that France are in need of a statement game. They beat New Zealand, which was a statement with regards to the opposition. Wasn't their best performance. Very good sort of last 20 minutes, which started to show their class. Then a bit of an iffy game against Uruguay, so they'd like to do a bit more. So I think this is going to be potentially their statement game. Tomorrow we've got Argentina versus Samoa. Again, I'm going to go to Argentina by 20. Argentina as well. Need a bit of a statement win after losing against England in their first encounter. They have had a couple of weeks break, so they need to come back and bounce back properly. So a bigger game coming up for them. Georgia versus Portugal should be an interesting one. Portugal not won a World Cup game. Georgia were a little bit disappointing against Australia, so hoping to see them sort of come to the occasion. I'm going to go with Georgia by 15. I'm not going to go too high. But I do think that the Georgians are a quality side that can get a job done on the right day. I was really disappointed. I thought they would really be able to push a struggling Wallaby side a little bit more than they did. But hopefully against Portugal on Saturday, they'll start to show us what they can do. So I'm going to go with Georgia by 15 points there. England versus Chile. Vamos! They are a team that are capturing the hearts of everyone here in France. A big travelling support, a lot of passion, a very cool team. And yeah, I'm on the lookout potentially for a jersey as well. I might actually put myself behind Chile. But England are playing well. They played against Japan and Argentina, which are the two hardest teams in their group, and they put them away relatively easily. George Ford is playing some brilliant rugby, and if he continues to show that form, there could be quite a lot of points. So I want to go England by 35 points. I do think Chile will score. I think they're a side that seems to know how to score, and I do think that they will find a way to score this weekend. But I do think that it will be quite a large scoreline. So I'm going to go England by 35. South Africa versus Ireland, very close game. The game of the weekend, arguably the game of the group stages, could even be the game of the World Cup. Very, very close to how I expect to see. I don't see more than 7 to 10 points at a push in terms of the margin. So I'm going to go South Africa. I'm going to back my South Africans. I'm going to go South Africa by 5. On Sunday, we then have Scotland versus Tonga. Scotland making their return to the World Cup stage after a week off. They're taking on a Tongan side, which weren't particularly impressive about a week ago. So I'm going to go with Scotland. I'm going to say Scotland by 15. I think their week off might mean it might take a while for them to get back into the swing of things. But if they can get going, I think they can definitely put 25 to 30 points past this Tongan side. I do expect Tonga to score as well. And I think they're a side that plays test match rugby these days. They'll take the points, they'll try and build, they'll go to the corner. They are very much, I think, a bit more of a test match side than they were traditionally. And then we've got Wales versus Australia as the last game of the weekend. We will actually be at that game. That is over in Lyon on Sunday night. And a big game. Wales potentially, well, currently topping their log. Win that game, not only will be in the quarterfinals, but they would have topped that log, which I'm not sure too many people would have thought about, or would have thought had happened, given all this sort of tumultuous time that Wales have had getting in here. But despite maybe not looking 100%, the results have gone their way. So I'm going to go with the Wales victory. I'm going to go with Wales by 6. I think this Australian side has got some good players, but I think they've really sort of struggled to settle in, and I don't see them pitching up and getting a result on Sunday. So those are my predictions. I want yours in the comments below. I want to know how you guys are doing in the SUPERBRU League. If you haven't joined it, go and join it. It is down in the description. And let's see how close I get, which is usually not very. But those are my predictions from here in Paris. Let me know what yours are.
Confidence in the management team with this split. And I think just in general, looking at the Ireland team, I see they've gone with a 5-3 split. So they've made it clear that they're not going to compete at all with South Africa. They're just going to have to stick to what they do. So for us, I think it's just going to be a power game. I don't see the ball going past 12, but yeah, we'll chat more about that. I just think South Africa's made a clear statement. We won up on them. I say the more haters speak about us, the more good we're doing in the sense of our innovation. For many years of rugby, I think South Africa was following the trend, and now we're setting the trend. So that's actually quite exciting.
Yeah, and your predictions for the game? How do you see it playing out?
So based on the Ireland team running through it with the 5-3 split, I just think if South Africa are somewhat ahead, let's say come 55, 60 minutes in, and we bring on those replacements, I don't see Ireland getting back in the game. So it's going to be critical that the starters, as they would call them, lay that platform. So we don't want Ireland to be ahead at any stage. But if we are, should we be ahead, my prediction is that we'll close the game off with what we have on the bench.
Yeah, it's going to be another interesting case scenario of the bomb squad versus who's on the field for Ireland, right? Yeah, Wes. So interestingly enough, the bookies have the books between 1 and 3 points favorites. So we got Ireland, the number 1 team in the world, haven't lost many in the last 2 years, beaten us last time out with only played them once in the last 5 years. Are Springboks the favorites, or what's your feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on a knife edge. You know, I think if you look at form, I think the teams are probably quite evenly matched. I think obviously Ireland haven't lost a game, I think, in 15 games. So it's their longest winning record, I believe. But the Boks building nicely, you know, not having the undefeated record that the Irish do. But I know I'm just waffling because I really don't have an answer in terms of are the Boks the favourites. Me personally, I think no. I think you have, if you're looking at form and history, that's what we're basing favourites on, then I think you have to say Ireland are the favourites just by virtue of the fact that they haven't lost a game in 15 games and they are pretty much full strength, more or less, right? Like if you think about starting selections, you know, we've obviously lost Malcolm Marx, which is a massive blow to the Boks, you know, and there's a few players, you know, who aren't there, but yeah, I don't think Ireland will win, and that's probably my South African bias coming through, though. I do think the Boks will pip them, but I do think in general they should be the favourites going into it, given the form and the players on the field.
Chris, just to add on to that quickly, I think Ireland, in my opinion, as they say, they know how to win games. South Africa know how to win World Cup games.
Yeah, Roots. I saw you took again. You've read my mind there, my man. I saw comments exactly that somewhere in one of the preview videos. You know, Ireland at the moment. That's it, man. That's it. Yeah, exactly that. You know, for Ireland at the moment are kind of like the perfect system process team that, you know, justify their number 1, and then you've got us that look, we are World Cup specialists, and we seeming to be peaking because I mean I agree with I wasn't so optimistic and, you know, upbeat about the Boks as I know a lot of other people were, but it does look like we're timing and making a nice timed run here, and the team is looking good. However, saying that, like I said, I would have had Ireland 1 to 3 favourites. I still think this is our test. This for me will show us exactly where the Boks are, and I still think Ireland are a far more polished team, and if we don't get a few things our way with this team, and with this, we're taking a risk. We could see ourselves in a little bit of trouble. But if it goes according to plan, we could easily run out 5-7 point winner. Scotty, how do you see this going? What's your thoughts on this team? I know you probably discussed it Tuesday, but now that you've seen Ireland line up, where's your head at?
Yeah, I think most of Tuesday's discussion was we got thrown off a little bit by what happens if our 13 is injured, and we decided that was that we'd just chuck one of the forwards. I think it was Kwacha would just go there and we'll figure it out. But no, I think it's as Wes said, it's on a nice edge. I think it's South Africa's to lose in the first half. I think we struggle. As soon as we go behind, we don't have that points advantage. At least by, you know, if we're more than 7 out at halftime, I think we're going to struggle. But if we within that striking distance of 5 points and under by the time the bomb squad come on, I think it's then ours to lose. So game of halves. I really like, to be honest, that Ireland have gone with the 5-3 split. I think it would have shown, it would have been quite funny had they gone a 6-2 split, just because
it would have given a lot away.
Around world rugby in general. Even the 6-2 split was getting the hate that the 7-1 split is getting at the last World Cup, right? So it's like, you doubt. It's like, and then if you can't beat them, join them, right? So fair play to them. They've jumped on board, like, and they're sticking to their guns, and that's how they've got to world number 1. So, fair play.
Yeah, that's exactly that. If they had gone a 6-2, probably everyone would have been okay, fair enough. But I mean, obviously a 7-1 would have been a complete, we worried, we need to go match for match. But they are, like you said, sticking to their guns. And I think if they stick to their guns and have a good game, they're still going to be really, really tough to beat, right? I just don't know. I thought Jocks and Rassie were bluffing on the 7-1. I didn't call it, didn't see it actually happening at the biggest game of the year so far, right? Are you, like, do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, because sure, we got these jack of all trades, but would you not want a Moody at 13 as opposed to Reinach in there in the last 20 minutes if Jesse goes down and Willems has to play 10? Or, I mean, how confident that you think this is actually going to work here? Do you think this is going to you guys think this is going to work for the books or backfire? You can have a shot, any of you, if you have a view.
I think for the sake of Ireland and their selection on the bench, they've obviously gone the smart route for them and their squad, and given themselves the best position to win, because as we've mentioned and as people have spoken about it, if they're going to try and match South Africa with even a 6-2, I don't think they've earned the right to put a 6-2 bench on the field, let alone a 7-1. So they've been smart in their selections, I guess, for the sake of them. And they are the most technically sound team behind the French, I would say, in this tournament. But then you kind of look at Rassie and Jacques and you find them to be just that tad smarter. So who's going to be the smarter one on the night? I'm backing Rassie and the boys, because South Africa are playing to their strengths and we are not hiding it in the least.
Yeah, and we'll leave this for the end of the show, because I think we need to bring out the whole moral aspect of this 7-1. We'll do that later. I'm happy to throw my name down the gutter again. Done it already. But we'll discuss it at the end of the week. But it is an interesting conversation, because it obviously extends to the rules and what Matt Williams was saying about the younger guys who will potentially want to copy this. But we'll discuss that later down the line. And interesting you say game of 2 halves, guys. We'll get to when we get to my betting segment. I've called the exact same thing. I think Ireland are not changing anything, but we're getting one hell of an Ireland blitz in the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I'm liking the bet that Ireland are ahead at halftime, because I think they know that's the best way they're going to beat us. And I think they're going to go hammer. They're going to take it out of the New Zealand playbook in Albany, and they're going to go for it. So we'll discuss that later. So I think we'll see how that goes.
Chris, if I can jump in there, like, if you look at the Scotland game, right? I mean, Scotland came out firing in the first 20, 25, 30 minutes in the first half, right? And really noticeably in that first 20 minutes. And they kept us, was it 6-3 at the half, or 3-0, or whatever it was?
Yeah,
it was
6-3, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so a 3-point difference there in the first half, and they were able to contain, the Springboks. And then obviously it opened it up, and Marnie LeBock's lovely cross kick. So, and that's Scotland, who I think we can, objectively say aren't as good as an Irish team. So an Irish blitz, and no disrespect to Scotland, they were 5th in the world at the time. I'm just saying, compared to Ireland. So I think, looking at an Irish blitz for 20 minutes, that's a different kind of blitz. So we'll have to see. But just having a look at a quick chat here, PVN saying 7-1 split decoy for another trick up their sleeve. Everyone can focus on that, but they don't know what next surprise will be. So that could be another ploy as well, right? They revealed one hand, with the 7-1 split against the All Blacks, and now all of a sudden it could be something different.
Well, we can't actually write that off, I think. No, honestly,
we can't.
Not against the All Blacks. Willie pulled out and was replaced during the warm up. I mean, I don't know what the rules are around, checking that the person you pulled out during the warm up or on the match
Yeah.
day is in fact injured. Like who's there to validate that? You know?
Yeah.
I hear you, Scholesy, but I think I'm confident to say Rassi and them have studied those rules. They've got medals for those
Yeah,
rules.
no, they know.
but it's so true, because a lot of players are going down in warm-ups. So Italian Cup 3, I've noticed 3 gone down in warm-ups lately, more than usual. So I think the mind games are very, very at play here, because team selection is important. I mean, everyone's just like, wow, we get it, okay? Springboks bring the team out early because they say they don't like it to be leaked, because eventually it does. But things change, and I mean, obviously, it does feel like it gives the other team an advantage to really study and really try to understand what's going on. But how often does it change? So yeah, I do like the justification that if all these guys know at Monday what they got 7 days, they don't have to be like, am I playing until Thursday, because they're trying to hide it. I think that has actually really, I think it did that, and it seemed like it's worked, right? Because the guys, even the players, have said they love the fact that they know on Monday, the public know, they can just get to work, So yeah, gonna be an interesting game, and like, in a great way, at least it's not fatal, right? At least it's not the end of the road. It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely if we do beat them and get the Scots put a hell of a lot of pressure on them, and then we can see them possibly later in the final, But anyway, yeah, we'll move on to the other games for the weekends. I know I don't know if you guys touched on, we obviously got France, Namibia tonight. France picking a decent side there. I think poor Namibia, New Zealand straight into France. I think that's going to be a bit of a long. I think France have to prove, this is typical France. Beat New Zealand, struggle Uruguay, massive win. I see a massive win for Namibia. Do you guys feel the same way?
What's the spread on the Namibia-France game, Chris?
It's like 76, high 70s, I believe. Very high.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night, I think, for the Namibians. I mean, I think France saw what they left out on the field against Uruguay, not getting
Sorry, I apologize. It's 69. I thought it was higher than that, but it's 6. The All Blacks were 72. That's quite interesting. You would think All Blacks had more changes, but France looked like they're about 70% strong, right? 80% full strength, I would say. Dupont's playing.
Yeah.
Janabed, wings. Yeah.
He's back. It's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah. No, I think they saw a huge missed opportunity on the bonus point against Uruguay. I mean, you really don't want to be leaving those out there and leaving up. I mean, I guess the side of the draw dictates South Africa or Ireland for them, so it's not massive, but you still want to end up your group at first. You don't want to be overtaken because of a bonus point system that's working against you. So, long night for Namibia ahead for me. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think we all agree with that. I think we could go. Anyone got anything to add onto that game, as we can move on to quite an interesting group, the Samoa, and Samoa and
Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina. So thank you very much. Yeah, Argentina. That's going to also be another cracking game.
I mean, I think there, Chris, I'm really looking forward to see what the Argentines can do, right? I mean, I think we were all quite disappointed, and not just only because, they had an opportunity to rain on England's parade, but it was just more the case of, there's some sort of kinship with the Argentines being in the championship rugby, right? Being in the Southern Hemisphere. And I think we were wanting them to do well for a number of reasons. So I do think, I hope that they've had a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror, and they've been working hard on the training ground, and they come out and attempt to make a statement. Now, Samoa is not going to take that lying down, right? Interestingly, actually, Samoa's got the best record against Argentina of any Pacific Island nation. So they've got history on their side. But this is a different Argentine side since they last played. So no, it's going to be a good match to watch.
Yeah, Roots. How do you? I mean, the cap year is 13 points, and I know Samoa have they only played 11 tests, I believe, since the last World Cup, and you could see that against Chile, right? That first half was typical. So I was chatting with my friends watching, and we got everything that Samoa had offered in that game. Not head not in it, mistakes, physicality, yellow cards. We got everything. Some brilliant tries. So, Rudes, how do you see after the back of Argentina's probably let's face it, probably one of the worst performances since like the 90s. I can remember that was Argentina of old. They hadn't been that not solid, or at least putting up a fight. How do you see this one going? Because I think it's far more closer than 13 points, because I think for me, Argentina will struggle if Samoa have had their run out. I feel they've got their green one under the belt, and I think they're going to give RGs a run. What do you think, Rudes?
Yeah, Chris, I hear you on the spread there in terms of history suggesting Argentina will take this one comfortably. If you say 13 points, I think what's interesting about the tier 2 nations, from what I'm seeing, is like they're able to put together maybe 50, 60 minutes of good rugby, and then from then onwards, I think the teams that are playing more often, as you mentioned, are able to put the full 80 minutes together. So that's becoming evident. So I just hope that Samoa catch Argentina at a time where they actually lost to a very average England team, if we can be honest. All those drop goals, something out of the ordinary, if you could say. But yeah, England never really offered much on attack. In other words, so for Argentina, they could use that as motivation. They are a very passionate side in terms of using their emotion to gain ascendancy in the game. But I think, if anything, Samoa do have an opportunity in this game, but they're going to have to put together more than 50 minutes. So coming out the blocks firing won't be enough. But there is a bigger possibility from what we've seen in the World Cup so far. Tighter games than we've ever witnessed. So for these tier 2 nations, I think it's quite exciting. So yeah, there is an opportunity. So I think 13 is flattering Argentina a bit. But the Argentina we know in Super Rugby should be the Argentina that puts Samoa away comfortably. But we're at the point now where it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Scotty, I don't know if you've seen some team news. I see Sopoanga's out, Danny Tuala's on the bench, Jordan Tafua's on the bench. Obviously, no Lavanini for Argentina. Creamer and Matera were really going, trying the only one seemingly cared the other day. On the back of some big names out there, are you seeing an Argentina come back and winning comfortably, or at least winning, I suppose?
Yeah, I think that it's got to be right for them. It'll be a very, very sad day for Argentina rugby, seeing the progress they've made, especially starting off the season beating Australia. In Australia, that was massive, and they instantly kind of became a top 6 contender in everyone's heads after that. Maybe it was because Australia are a bit average, but it was still a statement win. And I think that when we saw how much England struggled, and then the red card, and that they just did not show up on the day. I would love to see that game replayed out 15-15, whether that had any effect on how they went about the business. If they in their heads they were saying, okay, well, now it's signed, sealed, and delivered. But yeah, I think unless Samoa, really put out all the stuff, missing Sopoanga is massive. But I see Argentina, pushing through here, because I think they'll be kicking themselves if they're not getting out of this group.
Yeah, and a quick one: do you guys think the winner of this match is the team going through, or is Japan still going to have a say at the end of the day?
You can't rule them off here. I think if it's not a convincing win for Argentina, you start doubting then that Argentina and Japan's
it's going to be.
I mean, they held the English for what, 60 minutes, until it was a bit of a fallout when Joe Marler started exposing new rules in the rugby book and I reckon Rusty's a little bit bummed that Joe Marler's found out that rule before he did. I reckon he was holding it back till the final. There was a move planned out. Jesse Currie threw it over.
Yeah.
I think Japan is still in it, definitely.
Well, we mentioned 4 teams. Roots, Chile. We had Chile to beat England, didn't we? What's going on? Let's move on to England versus Chile on the England side. Are we still reckon Chile have a chance, or are England rebuilding their reputation? Yeah, we're going to have to call that biggest upset in World Cup history off the table now.
Chris, I would love to see some sort of upset like that. I just think it's exciting, as we've mentioned before, just for Chile being at the Rugby World Cup. Each and every player, I know there hasn't been a lot of emphasis from the media perhaps on the smaller nations, but when they do get the opportunity to be in the limelight, you can see what it means to them, their families, etc. So I think taking away from the game for Chile, I think just being part of the experience. I know England is a much more average side than we've experienced before in World Cups, but it should obviously be a clear win for England, and that puts them in a good place to obviously end first. But for Chile, just being part of the World Cup, who knows when they would be able to qualify again. So this is some sort of once in a lifetime, yeah?
Yeah, it was an amazing fairy tale story how they got there, hey? In the qualifications.
I think it was that last game against USA in the 80th
Correct.
minute, and there was a scrum, there was drama, there was everything. So
yeah,
what a story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of, you think USA will be a power, so maybe they still will be running into their World Cup, but does feel a bit weird that it's Chile over. This could be USA in this group, but this could have been one hell of, well, kind of the older USAs of the teams of old. You know, this could have been one hell of a pool of death with the current state of these teams. I don't know. Do you have comments on the team that's been picked, Roots, before we move on to Wes? And they've obviously made changes. Farrell's back from his ban. I quite like Arundel, Marcus Smith all starting. That's more firepower out there. Do you have comments like that, or do you think this is just, this is the time to ring the changes, get these guys a go? Do you have any comments on the team?
I think it's always probably been, in my opinion, an opportunity for the coach now to get Owen Farrell back into the team. This is not a game where England have to be too concerned, but I think they want to, with all due respect to Chile, go through their functions as a team and set themselves up to also try and be a little bit more attacking. I know when we get to, should they qualify first or second and go through to the knockouts, it's not all about tries. But I think for them, the ability to practice that and get that right would be important, because they also need to have that in their arsenal. But for England, I wouldn't say an easy day at the office, but definitely the guys coming in, if you look at the Farrells and Marcus Smith, maybe Marcus Smith perhaps a third choice fly-off at the moment based on Ford's performance. But they wouldn't be the starting guys come knockout time. So it's difficult to judge. I think just for England, confidence in more attacking play would be important for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they just need to get the job done and in the way they expect. What are your thoughts here? What do we think here? Farrell has a good game. Has he played his way back into the starting 15? What does that mean for George, or is he getting himself sent off in the first 25? We'll put some money on it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Farrell's just coming back in just to get some rugby under his belt and back into the system. I mean, I personally like the look of the New England side without him. Like, I think just from a culture and an energy and an outlook perspective, they seem to be a different side. They seem to be more positive. It was just, it wasn't the England of old. It wasn't anything great, but I do think it was better than what we were seeing with Farrell. Now, I can't pin all of it on him. I think that's unfair to him. But it'll be interesting to see just the culture, the spirit, the energy around the team against Chile, and especially if things, maybe are a bit tighter than they're expecting. But I was liking what Rudy was saying there about, they will be looking to try and hone their attack, because they've looked non-threatening with ball in hand, right? I mean, again, George's forwards, drop goals and it kind of opening up against Japan towards the end. At no point do you go, oh, that's a scary backline, or they electric there. They can pull something out and they can score from anywhere. Like you look at Ireland. I mean, goodness, both wingers and Bundyaki in the form of his life. Like it's a threatening backline. With the England backline, you feel like just have a solid defense and they'll make a mistake eventually. So I think they will be looking to try and pull out some dagger moves, some real sort of knife to the throat kind of stuff and execute well. Now the Chileans will have other thoughts, obviously, and they've done excellently to rain on other teams' parades, to show up and play with such spirit. What I've enjoyed about them as well, for the most part, is they've just got on with the game. Uruguay last night, I did feel like there was a lot of hands up in the air and to the referees and officials and other players, and it was just getting a bit much, which we not expect from certain sides, but maybe is more understandable. But I've just liked the Chileans' attitude of we're just here to play rugby and we're going to try to play good rugby. So
yeah, no, I agree. And Scotty, any one thing you want to add to that game, that pool, before we move on?
I think it's lucky for England to have had the Chile game, seeing as it's probably the easiest in their group, at the same time that when Owen Farrell comes back. Because had this been the Argentina game, the third game, and George Ford still started as hot as he did, and then they brought him in, it would have been a completely different discussion, right? It would have been Farrell replacing Ford as opposed to Farrell given a chance now that he's back. Whether that's still the thinking, we won't be sure until probably Japan, whoever gets picked for that, because I mean that's not a walkover by any means. I mean, sorry, not Japan. Who would their last game be? Versus
who? Chile?
Is this? Oh no, this won't be their last. No, versus
England. Samoa. Yeah.
So I mean, who they pick for that, and then the subsequent quarter, I think will obviously give us a better idea of whatever that pick is. But I agree. I mean, I think they've still got a lot to prove offensively. There seems to be a bit of an energy, which is what we didn't see in all the warm-up games, which I imagine is what you're referring to, Wes, and there seems to be some sort of spark. They're fighting for something which you still want to see out of an England side as much as you want them to do, from a South African bias. So yeah, I mean, if we continue to see that, I think it'll be a good game. But yeah, we'll never not support a Chilean team.
Of course. Yeah, well, I kind of backtracked, even though there's no justice in the fact that the top four sides on the wrong side of the same side of the draw. It's kind of made every pool a bit more interesting, like this pool and the Georgia, Australian, and Wales pool, right? It's making it interesting. It's making it competitive. Yeah, we're going to lose teams we don't want to the quarterfinals, but every quarterfinal is going to be competitive. Well, even if it's Australia, England, or whatever they're going to be, they're all going to be cracking quarterfinals in their own rights. So it kind of made it interesting, even though you would have pretty liked to have seen those top four duel it out quarterfinal. But whether they played in the quarterfinal or the final or semi, you still have to beat them, right? So I've turned my opinion on this draw, but I wouldn't want to see it again.
I don't think Scotland is holding the same opinion.
Yeah, I've got some Scottish connections, and they wanted to be so excited about this team, and they should be, and they should have. But they obviously look at that draw, and it's like, it's really going to be really tough. Before we get to the betting segment, we'll just quickly touch on the Georgia-Portugal game, guys. Georgia 14-point favorites there. Is that right? I mean, for me, Georgia haven't been too impressive. Do you just think that Portugal had a great performance against Wales, or do you just think the Georgians are going to be too physical for Portugal in the end? You guys have any comments on that game?
Yeah, I mean, for mine, very quickly, I just think the Georgians will be physical, and they've got more experience than the Portuguese side. The Portuguese coming back since 2007. So I think you've got to go with Georgia as the favourites. But we saw some innovation from the Portuguese with that lovely tryout from the line-out. So maybe they'll be looking to unleash their own 7-1 surprise, if we can call it that, or whatever they might unveil at the game.
Yeah, the Reds of Dosta. Do you see a potential upset here? Obviously, Portugal winning would be an upset, but do you see that happening?
History, as it would have it, Georgia have had the upper hand over Portugal in their Rugby Europe Championship Tier 2 tournament. I think Georgia, just with their World Cup experience as well, will come out on top. But then again, Portugal also showed that spirit that we talk about from the underdogs against the Welsh. And I mean, Wales only pulled away there by 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. Something we wouldn't have expected. But just for the sake of Georgia and Portugal, I think it's not a comfortable Georgia win. It's going to be one of those games that people must tune into, because it's the lesser opponents, I guess, Tier 2 versus Tier 2. And the more support we get, the better. Obviously, me saying that I'll be doing the watch along on Saturday, so do tune in to that game, everybody. But Portugal, they'll be excited. I think they've only been at the World Cup once in 2007. So maybe that experience in World Cup tournaments for Georgia will count in their favour.
Yeah. Scott, anything to add before we move on?
I've actually just gone and had a look at the poll on the Forever Rugby group, and it's a split 4-4. But with that said, Steve's voted on both sides. I don't know if that means it's a draw or what it is. So I think maybe it's a bit of recency bias, because we saw the impressive display from Portugal against Wales. Like, no one really expected Wales to get shaken by that. And you saw again a bit of the innovation with the lineup move that eventually saw Portugal score. So, I mean, I voted Portugal. I'd love for them to win. It's one of those teams you actually don't really want either of them to lose, right? They both of them very likable, play with passion. You want these types of teams to lay foundations that build rugby in those countries, which then eventually they can become the likes of a Japan, where they are, have the capacity to be the tier 1 nation. So, I mean, I've gone with Portugal. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think I've enjoyed the tier 2 nation games more than a lot of the tier 1 nation games this World Cup. I think it's been incredibly competitive, and seeing the way, and maybe it's also just the way the pools have been split, but it's given them the platform, and it looks like every single one of them are taking it. Maybe a little bit less, but I mean, you got to feel for them with the
and on that, actually, there's in the comment again, PVN saying there was talk about smaller teams coming strong into the World Cup. I do not see that. I'm from Namibia, actually appointed one of the Namibian front row players at my company. He works full time and weekend. And then he goes on to say not enough money in tier 2 nations and not enough grassroots. So, I mean, these teams, face massive challenges. And that's, I think, why everyone is like shocked or so stoked for Fiji, So, traditionally a tier 2 or on the cusp of nation, and with how much resources they have and how much time to play rugby, it's phenomenal what they've been able to do, And I think there does need to be better effort by World Rugby. I don't quite know how you do it, but to get these emerging nation sides, as we on one of my streams, we didn't like the term tier 1 and tier 2, so we called them emerging nations. Bit of woke nonsense there, but so these sides that are up and coming, and how do you support them? And then PVN says there's just not enough money, and then grassroots, you can't, even if you chuck all the money, where does that money go? And so I think they definitely, I would disagree with PVN. They're saying he doesn't see the teams coming in strong. I think they have been. I think the sides we classify as tier 2 emerging nations, they've given good teams a run. As we said, Portugal against Wales. Fiji upsetting Australia. Like I think there's good moments. Obviously, not every side. Romania's had an unlucky time. And it's just also your pool, right? And Romania, Ireland, and South Africa, and then Namibia, New Zealand, and France. That's tough stuff.
Yeah.
To add on to that, I think something I saw recently, which at least I found, step in the right direction from World Rugby, is that in fact the champions of the World Cup don't receive any more money than any other team. So there's a pot that's actually split entirely amongst all the teams, and they all receive an equal share of that, regardless of how far they go in the tournament. So that is great. Obviously, it's not enough, But I thought that was a really nice approach taken by World Rugby to at least do that. But the issue isn't the prize at the end of the 4 years; it's the 4 years in between, right? And bridging that gap. And I mean, I don't think South Africa, to be fair, is doing enough to bring up any of the other African rugby teams. How many more times can you use like an SAA team to go and play Namibia, on an international break, or Kenya? Even varsity teams. Obviously, I think a lot of these Namibian players have played in South African Varsity Cup and have gone through those systems. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, and you never want to have 80-0 games, and to see less of those is only going to benefit rugby and how we watch it. So hopefully, at least the split pool is a step in the right direction.
But this does lead. I think this could be a whole other segment on its own around how World Rugby is handling these guys, these nations, right? Because we see this. We always say we enjoy it when we see them at the World Cup and we see them having a go. Yeah, they do end up one-sided, but they will keep saying, well, how can we compete if we don't play at this level often enough? And obviously, it looks like we head into a world season, global rugby world season. And then how do you, when it comes to international windows, where you're going to fit? There's the money issue, obviously, because obviously a tier 1 test, a full house tier 1 test brings home the bacon, right? So how they going to fit it in? But I really hope they can find a way. I've always thought of a relegation promotion type of situation within the rankings. So like a team that has worked its way up into the top 10 does get the right to earn 3 or 4 tests. Maybe I don't know if it's in a league system. I don't know, just hypothetically. But I would. I think it would only do World Rugby a much better service if these guys had the opportunity to play against the bigger teams, right? It's natural. We've seen it with the Jaguars. They went to the final Super Rugby. Argentina were beaten New Zealand and the Boks in Argentina. Fiji and Jura did pretty well. Are improving. Now look at Fiji, right? When you guys play rugby, you played 4th team practice and you went to 2nd team practice. You upped your game, right? So I think that's how it works. I'm going to go into the betting segment before we do the last couple of games, and we'll talk about some of the potential talking points of the week. So I'll bring up the betting slide. Whoops. There she is. So we've lost Rude, so I hope he comes back. Wait for him to come back. So on this, we had another winner last week. We had Japan plus 22.5 versus England, won by 22. So that half a point brings that bet home if you understand the handicap betting system. So we were given basically 23 points. So that extra points wins you the bet. So that's another winner. Only had the one bet. Moves us into the 20 units profit, which is lovely. Cruising around there, 54% return on investment. Like we said, we'll take that any day of the week, even when it's at 40 or 30, we're smiling. So the 2 bets I've got lined up for this weekend. I mentioned it earlier. I like Ireland. I think unless Rusty and Jacques have a plan up their sleeve that they're going to blitz Ireland in the first half, which could happen, but I don't see that. I just don't see Ireland not coming out strong to hold that blitz anyway initially. So I'm going to take the punt. I'm going to take Ireland 1.5 points at halftime. That's again the cap. So even if the book's up by 1 point, this bet will come home. So yeah, I'm going to back that. It's going to be a tight first half. It could easily be a draw. It could be like 9 or 12 or type of scoreline at halftime. And yeah, I'm going for Samoa. I think that's too high. I think Samoa ought to play for big can hold the RGs. I think RGs maybe win, but win between 1 and 10. I don't think they separate themselves. I think Samoa, if they can keep their discipline going, we'll keep Arg close. But definitely expect an Arg fight back for sure. I see a completely different Argentina team, so it'll be interesting to see how Samoa handle that. But they got the cavalry to do Samoa. It's just like I said, it's the cohesion. You could see that first half. They look like a team on their first practice run. So like looking for the runner, throwing it anyway if they're not there. So, but yeah, those are the two bets. So if you're following, good luck, guys. Yeah, hopefully we roll on again and keep our profitable weeks going. So yeah, good luck with that. And we'll now move on to the final games. Quickly do previews of the final games of the week for the weekend. We've done Ireland on Saturday. We move on to Sunday. We can quickly touch on Scotland, Tonga before we go to Wales, Australia. Scotland, Tonga, guys. Do you see any surprises there? Obviously, Scotland should be the favourites there. Tonga were a little bit disappointed against Ireland, weren't they? I expected more, but it is Ireland. If you're not a good team, you're going to get squeezed out of that game pretty quick, pretty fast, right? Do you think Scotland, like Wales, are another team that love to go a bit down for the minnow games? And if you notice, like some teams just drop their standard with the minnows. Others, like South African Ireland, will put minnows away quite comfortably. So, do you see a surprise here, or do you, as you like Scotland go on? Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly dynamic game, right? Tonga, Scotland, both we're going to love throwing the ball around. Tonga's going to be physical. I mean, they both actually have pretty physical teams. You even saw how Scotland were able to hold up against the Springboks for the whole first half. 6-3 at halftime. They were clapping us in scrum. So I think it's going to be a great contest. I do see Scotland running out. Everyone's kind of. It seems when you get that bye week, you lose. Everyone kind of forgets about you for a second, but they still want to be in this World Cup as much as any other team, and feel like they're going to have a point to prove. And they know that the only way that they get out of this group is that they get bonus points, especially in the games against Tonga. So it's going to be flat foot down, and I'm really excited. I think Finn Russell is also going to enjoy not having Peter Steff running at him.
Yeah. I see the comments. I just think Scotland Airways just got an all-round team that will. We got Wes there. Welcome back, son. I think Scotland just going to have the goods, right? Probably you think of Tonga, you think of physicality, but I still think Scotland are just the structured, bit more quality will come to the top, right, Wes?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think they will be looking to turn up and put in a big performance. I think Tonga, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the last weekend their first run out in this World Cup, so they'll, also that first game and everything gets a bit nervous and whatnot, so they'll be looking to tidy things up a bit. But I do think the Scotland coming into the World Cup, that we've seen over the last couple of games should put away the Tonga side. But that should is a big word.
Yeah, Rudes, when you went away, we just quickly did the betting segment, so you didn't miss too much except for a couple of winners there if you want to join on the bet and train there. But Rudes, Scotland, Tonga, how do you see that going? We all say we're predicting this is a must win for Scots. They should get through, or do they get sucked into a dogfight with Tonga, even though Tonga weren't as what we thought they would possibly be against Ireland, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part, Tonga were a little bit disappointing against Ireland. But then again, we come back to the amount of games these guys have played in comparison to the Ireland and Scotland. I think for the sake of continuity, Scotland just have that cohesion in their team that will overcome Tonga. So Tonga will be relying on some sort of upset so they can latch on to the past of Rugby World Cup upsets. But I'm not sure if they have that cohesion. I didn't see much of that against Ireland to threaten Scotland. For Scotland, it's a non-negotiable after they were mauled against the Springboks. And I think overcoming this Tonga game might give Scotland then the confidence for the Ireland game, because this group is by no means settled. In my opinion, South Africa will beat Ireland on Saturday and we'll end up first. But that second spot is still available. So for Scotland, they shouldn't be entertaining Tonga for too long. Again, I think they'll close the game off come the 60th minute onwards, because Tonga sort of come out the blocks. The fans are behind them. We all are behind the underdogs. But Scotland are the fifth best team, as we know, for a reason, and they just have the opportunity now to lay a marker for that game against Ireland and say, look, this will be an arm wrestle. We want that second spot.
Yeah, and on these specific island teams, a few months back or a few weeks ago before the tournament, Steve and I were discussing the hopes of potentially Fiji. And I made the point, well, I mean, yeah, we'd love to see them make a run, but I always said they're a 50, 60-minute team and the wheels fall off and they get loose and they're full of tackles. But it's Fiji that aren't. Fiji are putting together close to the 70-minute performances. I still worry that Tonga and Samoa go missing for 20, 30 minutes at least in a game. These guys often do that. They just battle to keep their discipline for some reason. Their minds go off somewhere else, into the mountains or something, and they go off track, and then they pull themselves back together and they score a beat. But that's the point. Is that's the weak. I still see Tonga a weakness for Tonga. Probably what will hold Samoa ultimately going forward as well. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend biggie, Wales versus Australia. So yeah. Very interesting roads to this game for both teams, right? So what we're saying, if Wales beat Fiji and Fiji beat Australia, Wales are beating Australia. Is that right, Scottsy? Or what's going on here? Is Stevie joining the old Eddie for some croissants next week, and they're going to try it over there over a few cheesy croissants?
I mean, I'm sure Stevie would love that. But yeah, I mean. But yeah, I mean, people speaking South Africa, Ireland game of the weekend. I think this is the game of the weekend. When there's consequences involved, you raise the game by that next level, right? These two essentially are fighting for a qualification spot. It's a knockout game for them, and expecting that they're going to win the rest of the games, which is also not guaranteed but expected. This is their toughest challenge. I think Australia will win. I think they will bounce back. I think Eddie, short-term fixer, knows how to come up with the game plan. I think Wales got away with it against Fiji. I think Fiji slipped up a little bit. I think Fiji should have beaten both teams. They managed to get it over the line. Thank goodness, as someone who wants Fiji to succeed more than Wales or Australia, but I still think Australia are the next best nation, and I think they'll get through. And I think 7-10 actually, unless Dan Biggar has an absolute day, which he's highly capable of. But yeah, no, I'm putting my faith in Australia.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've also got some opinions. I might leave it today because I'm very curious to see what Wes thinks about this game. What's going on here, Wes? Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I'm against Scotty over there. I think Wales will take this one. Yeah, I just think they've not been in fantastic form, but they've been in better consistent form than Australia. Oz just have struggled to find any sort of rhythm, any sort of consistency. I mean, the number of captains they've had, I think, Drew Mitchell very eloquently was telling us how many captains and whatnot that they've had over the last couple of games. On that quickly, I feel like, fair enough. I understand why he has to apologize. Kids will look up to him and this, that, the next, but you can see it's coming from a place of passion where he genuinely cares about the sport, his nation, and their success. But yeah, I think, selections, not selecting Michael Hooper, not selecting Quade Cooper, this might be where the chickens come home to roost, and I do think Wales are going to take it. I think they were lucky to come away with the win against Fiji, and they weren't solid against Portugal. However, in the start against Fiji, when they took Fiji, to task, they looked good. It looked like a good Welsh side, and if they can get that good Welsh side on the field, and therefore 70 odd minutes, 80 minutes, I think Australia is going to have a tough day. But I see getting disagreed with in the chat. Oaks are saying that they think Oz by 8 or so, which is fantastic. It's why we're here, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, Roots. I mean, what do you think? At this moment, I can't make a case for any of them. Are you on the 25-all draw with me, or are you picking a winner?
Just to add on to Wes there, I think Wales were excellent, especially player number 24. He had a whistle in his hand. He was excellent. He played a wonderful game, wonderful feet, wonderful hands. But coming back to Australia, I think Eddie Jones is under a lot of pressure, and it's obviously evident in the press conferences. He's quite abrasive, in my opinion. But I think for the most part, there's also a conversation I was listening to that Quade Cooper has 55 missed calls on his phone. He's not prepared to answer Eddie Jones at this point.
Fair enough.
And why would you? Because, I mean, he wasn't even considered as a backup player. So Eddie Jones is adamant. And then, like Wes was saying, the chickens coming home to roost, if you could call it that. One of their players, their young players, Max Jorgensen, I think, came up with a broken leg. So he's out of the World Cup completely. So there's those sort of compounding decisions that now come back to bite you, I guess. But for Eddie Jones, I think being or having the experience that he's had, obviously getting a silver medal in 2003, and then obviously with the Box as a technical analyst in 2007, he does have World Cup experience, so we can't throw that away. It's a must win for Australia, where obviously for Wales, they know it's a must win. But I just think the edge is on Australia in terms of where they at or where they should be. And I know it's a bit premature, but Eddie Jones as the coach is almost like the Jose Mourinho of rugby, you know. So maybe I am expecting a little bit more than most, but I think Australia will pull this one through. And I heard Scalzi saying 7, maybe swinging either way, but I'm going to give Australia the win and give them still the opportunity to keep that group alive, much like the other groups as well. So quite an interesting weekend of rugby. The deciding weekends, I guess, for teams to divert in different directions.
Yeah, I'm kind of half joking about the draw, but I agree that Australia are the better, for me, on paper are the better side. And if they come bring it, even if Wales do, they should be edging this Welsh team by about 5 points. However, it's clear, or it seems that this Eddie Jones, or they've kind of blown up the flag for this World Cup, right? If talking about it, he's clearly seemingly made that decision with his selections. And if you see in the press conference, he made a point. This young Australia side, like he's trying to make a point. I brought youngsters to kind of give him to experience, totally undermining the Wallabies basically and the World Cup. Let's face it. So if you're a player and your coach is Eddie Jones is ranting and raving and acting like a madman and basically saying, well, we're not winning this World Cup. You drop 2-3%, you lose to Fiji. So my worry is if these guys don't think they're winning this, aren't yet to win the World Cup, Wales can take them. So like it's going to be very interesting, but it'll be very Australia-like to come out and win by 10, you know? Yeah. And off we go. We all wrote off England, and Ruz, I get you now. We all wrote off England. No one's saying that they're on the right track, but they've just beaten RG and Japan by 20-odd points. I mean, that's nothing to snigger off. Wales try to go win by 10. Are we saying that they're making a run, you know? Yeah, Ruz, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think just the last point to touch on for Australia, who do they have to rely on to bring the team together? So we talk in South Africa of the Sia Kolisis, in New Zealand, maybe the Brody Retallicks coming back from injury. For Australia, like you mentioned, such a young side, if they are up against the pump at whatever stage in the game, who do they have to bring them together? So I think they've got to overcome that sort of hurdle, yeah?
It is very odd, the team he selected. He could have brought some guys, you know. So I heard the comment about Sonny Ball Williams saying if Carter Gordon just had a Quade Cooper in the change room after something like that, because he's put all his bets on this Carter Gordon. He hasn't proven himself, right? I mean, what these guys must be feeling like. And I don't know if you guys know Skelton's back, but I mean, Tupou, you just have to watch him even for the Reds. I mean, that guy is so pivotal. He's basically their scrum. He's he's our Malcolm Marks in the loose. possibly better ball skills. These teams look different without the guy. So yeah, I don't know if even he's back. I honestly, I was trying to find Australia team news before we arrived. I don't know if anyone, Scott, you want to say something? Do you have any?
I think it's still out. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna add. Like, I think you can understand him leaving out Hooper Quaid if this is an Australia team filled with experience and he doesn't need their expertise. But there's still something to be said, as you said, like, who can Carter Gordon go to and have, a one-on-one conversation with, just to be like, this has happened to me. If anyone in a career has gone through ups and downs, it's Quade Cooper. He's seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows type of guy, and seems to be pretty kind of level-headed at this point. So I think it's with this Eddie team, I completely agree. He's undermined them. I think he relies on, much like he did with England, getting big early results. He needed a statement win versus the All Blacks, because then the kids believe in themselves, right? But they haven't had a statement win yet, so they're looking around for someone to believe in. They don't know who to. They don't have the senior player. They don't have Hooper Quaid, and they don't have themselves to believe in, because they haven't proved that to themselves yet. So he's kind of been waiting for the impact to come, and now he's taken a big loss, which is now just doubled down in an inexperienced side. I mean, it doesn't seem like I'm someone who's fucking the Australian. But that's the thing with England. You remember he came in hot, Came in very hot. England went on that very good run. I think they won like 10 in a row, won the 50. They won the Six Nations, which possibly bought him a whole lot of time, because obviously taking New Zealand out in the semi bought him another 3 years. But this has been very underwhelming. And basically, like I say, I mean, it's basically a completely different team to the one that he picked for Loftus in the first game of the Tri-Nations, right? So he obviously does. What's very fascinating is that he sits there like he's going to be there at the next World Cup. He could have been booted already, like the way he's going on. I mean, how sure is he that he's even going to be at the next Rugby Championship? That's what fascinates me. I mean, I hope his plan comes together for Australia's sake, because Australian rugby, let's all face it, guys. I mean, like those guys, that podcast, Drew Mitchell, those old characters of Gitto, and those are Australian players we did appreciate and respect, right? They had that grunt, they had that street mongrel. They're very good. I mean, how do you see Australia coming back to that level? I don't know. I don't know if Eddie Jones is the right person to start that, kind of like what Russie's done through the provincial teams. He talks to the provincial teams, he talks to the sevens, everyone's on board, Anyway, guys, that's a wrap. We can do some quick fire predictions, or maybe actually let's go back to the 7-1. Anyways, let's go back. Let's talk about the 7-1, because it is controversial. I'm not as opinionated about it as my high head contacts and red cards and refs. But we've thrown my name around down the gutter already, so I'm going to say whatever I feel anyway. But anyway, what do you make of the comments of the moral dilemma? I've obviously heard, let's say it's Matt Williams saying it, but I have seen some social media people commenting and kind of agreeing to it. And I think even saw another Irish, was it Keith Wood, who says the rules need to change. Right. Is it a moral issue? Is it morally wrong that we just not bending the rules? We just play by the rules and we select in the 7 reserves we want, and the other team either reacts or doesn't, or makes a plan? And does it actually filter? As you said, I understand it filtering down to the younger age groups. Okay, the scrum engagement has improved a lot, and I think neck injuries across the board have got better. Because he spoke about the neck injuries of players, and I think he still refers to that the bigger Foster guys come in and a neck injury is possibly happen. Do you buy his point that 7-1 is a moral issue and it shouldn't be accepted because he's not an international? I think he was talking down the age group. So do you agree with what you're saying? If you heard his point.
No. If you're that worried about the younger age groups, then also you just make that rule not available to the younger age groups, and you look to phase it in up, towards the guys where they become professional athletes and their bodies are conditioned to go for 80 minutes. Like there obviously are substitutions that happen at the 60 or the 50 or whatever, but most of these guys are trained and fit enough, if need be, to play 80 minutes of rugby. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. We know what fresh legs bring onto the field, but I just don't get it. Again, if you're that concerned about the younger age groups, I think it's something that he's potentially thought of in the wave of the backlash rather that he got for his comments.
Backslap.
He's thought, yeah, exactly. He's kind of thought, oh, how can I justify this? Oh, the younger age, the kids. What do people care about? They care about the kids. Okay, it's bad for the kids, so therefore it's bad. We shouldn't do it. We just make it not available to the kids. Like there are different rules at different ages. Right?
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That they don't have if that is an issue, and it can be, right? I don't know about your guys' school systems because I know in Cape Town we have the English and Afrikaans schools, and there is a little bit of a physical difference level there when you play schoolboy level. And I must admit, if I saw a second pole first team pack coming after 60 minutes, 60 minutes, I would also probably be like, oh my god, this is going to be bad. But I agree. Why it doesn't have to be the same rules, right? And he's saying that, but I don't know if you guys also noticing, Scotty, like players aren't coaches and players, current coaches and players aren't saying that they seen it as an innovation. Like, well, good for you. You know, if you want to do it, you're gonna, because there is still that we keep forgetting. There's still a risk, right? You're going to be playing players. You're going to be playing players not in their specialist international position.
Yeah.
Possibly, and that can go horribly wrong. So maybe people are like, yeah, go for it, guys. But you know, if you mess this up, we'll take this is out. That's better for us to get you. Rather maybe get you because you've slipped that one up. Because if we take you 6-3 bomb squad, that's difficult. So maybe they're actually hoping that it backfires. What do you think, Scotty?
And they're not worried about the South Africans, right? So they're not up in arms that Marco van Staden's now playing hooker because they're worried about him. You know, they're not worried that like we are putting our one backline player is a scrum half and might have to come on, you know, and play out of position. It's as if they're assuming that the other team is confined to fewer players on their bench, and we just have extra capacity for that. There's so much risk involved in doing what we do. So much can easily go wrong. The smallest hamstring tear in minute 2, you know, even, you know, like the Grant Williams injury against Argentina earlier on in the year. Like, these things happen. They're horrible, and South Africa takes on risk to exploit a strength of ours. We've seen us dominate. We haven't seen injuries. It's not like they're high tackles or injuries coming as a result of this. The only time I can think back to is when we blew away Italy at the last World Cup, and that wasn't a 7-1 split. That was probably even a 6-2 split, maybe a 5-1, and that was happening in the first half. That their props were just getting pumped, and then it went to uncontested, right? Yeah. So I just think it's a way of being frustrated that there's a supposed loophole that we found in a way. We just choose to structure our system in the way that suits us, you know?
Well, exactly. It could disrupt all that structure we talk about, right, Roots? Like that 10-man rugby, that Pollard type when he's at 10. We've all been banging on that Lebok was the potential weakness or could go wrong or risk, right? Now, what if Lebok goes down or is kicking at 50%, and we got Faf playing at 10 after 45 minutes against France in we're playing the quarterfinal? That's going to be fun, right? So, Rudes, I know you love your books, but I think you're a fan of the 7-1, right? Do you think this needs a rule change, if anything, as well? On Matt Williams' comment, do you think anything needs to change on the back of this silliness from the box?
No. So with all due respect to that gentleman, I think he should go and study philanthropy or something because it's way out of his depth now. South Africa, and in terms of professional sport, we're not playing for bread and milk money. We're playing to inspire a nation, and I think we need to play to our strengths. We've gone through the laws of the bench, and the requirements are you need 2 tight forwards in terms of props. A hooker, we've got that. We've covered those bases. So as Scalzi and Wes mentioned as well, there's risk for us that nobody's taking into consideration. As we mentioned, we are the ones for now that are actually innovating. And I think just touching on what Wes was speaking about earlier and saying if you want to shut it out, then shut it out at school level. But at professional level, it's obviously, like I say, we're inspiring a nation. So at school level as well, if we know we talk about player safety, but I think in terms of contact sport that rugby is, if you don't want the contact, then don't play rugby. So we harnessing South African talent from a young age, perhaps not in that atmosphere of a 6-2 or 7-1 split. Maybe there are some permutations there, but building them up to a national team that inspires a whole nation. So that in itself, he's completely missed the point, and I think it's just a lot of envy in his rhetoric, you know.
Yeah, I just open my prediction. I don't know if I don't even know if we carry on going 7-1, right? And you don't know what these guys are going to do next. But I still don't know if that's going to backfire. Even though it can, I still think it's probably a Lebok, 2 missed kicks and a 3-point loss, or a ref, or bad ref decisions. Because a bad ref decision is come in and be ready, boys. And I'm not saying just for us. A controversial decision is determined in a big game. It's wherever that happens.
I mean, just to add to that is, like, I believe, in my opinion, the coaches and management have gone through what they can control. The uncontrollables we can't control.
Correct. Yeah. Very fascinating the journey the Boks have been on here, guys. How we won the last World Cup, what we look like at this World Cup. Very interesting. It makes it really interesting. So yeah, guys, we've gone on for quite a while. Lovely. It wasn't. I thought was expecting. I thought we had a few short because we didn't do any kind of reviews. So yeah. Is anything else that you guys want to bring to the table? Otherwise, what I'm going to do to end, I'm not going to do a 2-2-2 games. I'm going to ask all 3 of you to give me within a 5 margin victory predictions for the games. But is there anything else you want to discuss before, or should we just go straight in and do the predictions?
Let's go straight to it, and let's go watch Stevie P commentate on the.
Stevie, I think someone stole Sopowanga's tea. I don't know if it was Stevie doing some spying on the Samoan camp. Stevie, please give Sopowanga his tea back. All right, let's go. So Scholzi, Samoa, Argentina. What's the result? And if you can choose between any 5-point margin, so you can say between 8 and 12, Argentina.
I'm going Argentina 10.
All right, Wes?
Yeah, Argentina by 15.
Oh, so Argentina backlash, yeah? Samoa can't keep the discipline. Rudes?
No.
Samoa by 3.
Rudes. My heart says that. My heart says I want Samoa to win, but I think Argentina are going to come out. Yeah, you're right. I think it could be. Let's go to our Saturday games. Georgia, Portugal. Scotty.
Portugal by 5.
Yo.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go Georgia by 10.
Yeah. Rudes.
Georgia, 13 points.
Yeah, fair enough. Good one, Scotty. Put your neck out there. England, Chile. I think we know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Chile by 25. No.
That'll be something. Scotty.
Yeah. England 20.
20.
I was going to say England 25.
Respect for the Chileans.
England 47.
Jeepers.
Rudes, I'm gonna get on Rudes' side, yeah, chaps. We got a bit of a split panel, yeah. I think it's gonna be a pretty comfortable England winner, to be fair. I think it's gonna be too much for Chile. South Africa, Ireland. I think we did touch a bit. Let's just go again, Scotty. Put this rubber stamp. Let's put our signatures onto this one. Predict it.
It's not what I believe is going to end the World Cup, but I think Ireland by 2.
I'm with you, Scotty. Ireland between 2 and 5. Suez.
I think Boks by 5 and 7. I think Ireland are the favourites, but I think Boks can do it on the day.
I know what Ruiz is gonna say.
South Africa 26, Ireland 13.
Oh, comprehensive book win. Easy roll on and do the same to New Zealand later, hey? And we go to the Scotland Tonga. We go around. I think we probably know we should win that one. What margins, Scott?
Scotland 15.
Yeah, they like to get to a scrappy battle, the Scots, even though they should be winning by 30. Where's
I'm also gonna go Scotland 15. I think that's fair enough.
Rudes?
Scotland by 26.
Yeah, I think Scotland, but I'm going to say between 20 and 30. Maybe they squeeze out another one, another try. And then another biggie, Australia, Wales. We did go on predictions. Scotty, remind us what you're going in.
I think I said Australia 10, between 8 and 10.
That's right. You said Australia. Yeah, you're with me on Australia. Where's was Wales, right?
Yeah, Wales 10 and 12 by 10 or 12.
Sure. This is a big split. Roots.
Exactly what Scalzi and West said. I'm going to go between 8 and 12.
2?
Australia.
Okay.
I'm Australia. So we got 3 Australias, 1 Wales. Where's
Time you want to be there, mate.
Raise that Welsh flag. All right, boys. Thanks so much. That was really good show. I really enjoyed it. Always enjoyed chatting rugby with you guys. And obviously, we cruising well into the tournament now, and some nice games. I don't know how you guys are doing in your prediction games and SUPERBRUs, but I need these 50-50s to go my way this weekend. So yeah, wish us luck. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. And obviously, have a great weekend. And everyone on the chat, thank you for joining in. Obviously, if you fancy following some of the tips and the predictions, go into BOYLESPORTS and sign up on the sign-up bonus. You get a nice 1,000 rand sign-up bonus, and our other partners, BITDEFENDER as well. And obviously, catch the guys on the watch-alongs, going beautifully, looking lovely, slick, professional. Join the guys there on the watch-alongs and just support us and hit the like button. And yeah, let's keep going and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. And see you soon.
Thank everyone.
Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
And welcome to Forever Sports. For this matchup between Scotland and Tonga has become a more important matchup than I think many people were predicting, especially given the results from last night's fixture between South Africa and Ireland, which we won't talk about too much, although I can't promise we won't talk about it a little. Sort of the day after, you have to look at things with fresh eyes and having slept on some of the mistakes and disappointments potentially, but this is sure to be a cracker. I think, Scotland, having a look at the chats, lots of people, I think, see Jonathan Mason there saying, Scotland better win by at least 25 because of the points differential. This has opened it up, completely for Scotland to remain in the World Cup and potentially go through, so very, very interesting what can happen in this game. Tonga obviously looking for a much better performance after their disappointing start against Ireland. Who put them away quite convincingly. So they'll have a point to prove. So yeah, I think two sides, with chips on shoulders, you could say. So very interesting to see what they bring to today's match. I think if we're honest, we should not expect Scotland to win, but I think they would be the favourites coming into the game. More consistent team. Scotland also, 5th in the world when they were coming into the World Cup. So clearly playing good, consistent rugby, or good rugby consistently. So we'll have to see. But there's some star-studded members in that Tongan team who will be looking to disrupt things. One of the men that's on the screen right now is Salesi Piutau. He will no doubt be wanting to get his hand on the ball as much as possible there at 15 and try and make some good line breaks for the Tongan side. But before we do that, guys, as always, please make sure that you've hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also look at becoming a Forever Sports member, right? It just allows us to bring you all this awesome coverage for the Rugby World Cup and beyond. So a massive thank you to all of you who do, regularly engage and tune in. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate the support. Definitely really, really also enjoy the chat and the commentary and chat. This is something I really like about the channel and the platform, is being able to sort of bring you guys rugby and commentary, but more so be able to actually interact with you in the chat, get your thoughts, get your opinions. There's some things I'm always, not too clear on, and I wonder if you guys have a different take on that. So see some of the regular members here. I see Buffalo from Cape Town again. Good to have you here as always. And then, as I said, we've got Mark's Box. Excellent. Appreciate you here, Marks. And we see Lionel Marinas here saying that Scotland will win this one. And as I said, Jonathan sort of hoping that Scotland can put at least 25 to keep the points differential alive. But before we get any further into today's game, let's just have a little bit of a chat about last night's game. Obviously, Stevie P has done quite a bit of analysis on that, and I'm sure your timeline's been inundated with reaction videos and analyses from the Springboks and Ireland game. Personally for me, obviously a bit of a bias here being South African, but I'm not too worried. I think had the Springboks played really excellent rugby, had they been clinical, had it been their performance against New Zealand, that historic performance, and we had still lost that match, then I would probably be a bit more concerned. But the Boks, I think, played very subpar. I think there were moments where they looked good, but only that, just really glimpsing brief moments. Just some interesting decisions, to go for posts and not potentially go for the line. And then we won't get into the reffing calls. Like, there were some sort of really glaring enigmas, but we can't go there because it just never gets you anywhere. So I think if you look at the onus, control the things you can control. For me, it was so frustrating also to see the Boks running in single runners, sort of taking it into the contact alone. And Ireland's have got some really good poachers on the field. It doesn't have to be just their forwards. James Lowe turned over a number of balls. He was really physical last night. He was up for the challenge, and it just kept getting him more and more stoked throughout the game. So I was just frustrated by, we didn't really seem to learn from the mistakes. Potentially not going to the corner more. We know Manie Lebok can kick it into the corner and get the forwards into a good position, as well as then just the single runners. I mean, if you look at how many balls we lost being stolen or turned over, and they're not converting opportunities. That was the big one. Down on the 22, got to turn pressure into points, and just unable to do that. So I think all things considered, not the best performance by either side. I think Ireland will also probably be prepared to say, look, it wasn't their best outing, but it was a good clash between number one and number two, and it was tightly contested. We do come away with the losing bonus point there, so that's at least something from the game. But not too concerned. Obviously, bragging rights would always be lovely, and that world ranking number one spot would have been nice as well. But I'm not too concerned for the Boks. As long as they can then come out, I think next weekend, and put in a good performance against Tonga, and secure that spot, hopefully in the through to the next round. We will see the Boks then continue to do good things. Lots of chats about Pollard potentially coming back in and all that. I don't think he gets... Look, we haven't seen him play for how long in a Springbok jersey, so I can't say definitively he doesn't get something out of the backline, but Manie is excellent at orchestrating and conducting the backline we have in place, because they've been playing with him for how long now. And so is that worth it, to have Pollard on the field? You sacrifice potentially the synergy that Manie brings, that the team is used to, the style that the team is playing at the moment, for kicks. And don't get me wrong, Pollard has missed kicks before. Everyone misses kicks. So, do you want to potentially sacrifice all that just for, a higher chance of making your kicks? And I get it, test matches normally are won on a penalty, and especially World Cup playoffs and finals. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But let's see. I will leave that there for now, and we'll get back to the game. But having a look at the
the chat here. So Relatable, they're saying the kicks were abysmal. Pollard playing against Tonga will allow us to convert tries. No, I agree. Absolutely, the kicks were not good enough. By no means am I excusing them. It was not good enough. So we will see, and that's very exciting. Him coming on against Tonga, and we get to see what he does with the back line and how that looks. Very, very, very exciting to see. But yeah, guys, in the chat, let me know where you're coming in from. As I said, Buffalo's tuning in from Cape Town. I'm coming to you, if you haven't seen me before, my name is Wes, and I'm coming to you from the Okavango Delta in Botswana. So let me know where you're tuning in from, and also who you think is going to win, right? We have got a poll going there, so make sure you're definitely voting in that poll. Always interested to see the chat's thoughts on these issues. But absolutely, great to be here with you guys. As I said, I think Scotland, definitely the team that should come away with the win today. But we've seen some upsets before, not many big ones in this World Cup so far. So will this be kind of the first major, disruption potentially, and then throw the group really into disrepair? I think that then allows South Africa to breathe a bit more potentially if Tonga can do that. But anyway, let's have a look then at the player profiles for the Scotland team taking the field today. Right, so there are the Scotsmen taking the field today, and a pretty full-strength team, if we have to be honest with ourselves. I mean, I can't really think of anyone who might potentially have lost their starting spot. You know, we look at Darcy Graham. I mean, we know what a quality player he is on the bench at 23. So, you know, Kyle Steyn earning a starting spot there. But Hugh Jones potentially in place of Harris there. But that aside, I mean, both of them on the bench, you know, this is a pretty solid Scotland team. So they know the importance of this match, and they know the importance of winning this match well and getting that points differential that we were chatting about earlier, definitely. But Relatable, great to have you here from Peter Maritzburg. And then Colin with an interesting thought here. Why go for Poles when in your own half? So I assume, excuse me, talking about the Springbok game. Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? Some interesting decisions also, you know, we know we've got the forwards. We went to the 7-1 split to hopefully bring that power factor. So going for Poles doesn't take advantage of the fresh forwards, but going to the corner and mauling it does. And then also spoke about, you know, Dielende having a fantastic game. I thought he had an excellent game. I was so stoked when he was sitting down Irishmen left, right, and centre and hurting their shoulders. So it was good to see him back in some fantastic form. And speaking about Colin is potentially moving to outside centre and then Pollard on the inside and Liebach at 10. I mean, yeah, I wonder what that axis looks like. And again, the thing is on paper it sounds great, but it's in theory, in practice, that synergy, that playing together, right, getting to know the person's style is something that they might just missed. So yeah, but back to the Scottish team. Yeah, as I said, I think pretty full strength. We got, you know, obviously Finn Russell there at 10, and he'll be looking to conduct things as he always does. Very, very exciting. I'm actually looking forward to this now, being able to watch Finn Russell do his thing. Obviously, in the first game against the Box, I was hoping he wouldn't have such a good game, and I think we did pretty well to shut him down. Obviously, Duan van der Merwe, always a threat on the wing, but he's coming up against some big runners as well, you know, in the oppositions and the Tongans. So, you know, he will have to be smart as well as strong. Obviously, Jamie Ritchie then, captain, always solid. And Dempsey, I've been really impressed with the Scottish number 8. I think he's really played quite well in recent games. And even against us, I thought he had some strong carries. So, yeah, a Scotland team that looks pretty full strength. I think they're holding that thing back. They are not, you know, coming off the hottest streak, although to be fair, out of the last 5 games, they've only lost 2. And that obviously was to South Africa and then to France. But then beating the French in the previous game, Italy, and then obviously beating Georgia as well. So yeah, having a look at some stats. So they 3 out of 5 games, they scored the first try. 3 out of 5 games, they scored the first points. 3 out of 5 games, they got to 10 points first. So majority of the 5 games they've played, they've been pretty quick to start at Scotland. Obviously, we did a pretty good job at shutting them down. Say we, South Africa, the Box did a good job at shutting them down and not really ever letting them get into the game much. So we'll have to see what they can do. Yeah, I think, you know, as I said, they will definitely be looking to try and rack up those points to get a good points differential and better their chances at potentially somehow sneaking through this very tough pool. I think they knew it was going to be tough from the start. So we will have to see. But what you guys can do in the chat there, you guys can start letting me know what do we think the scores might be. So I see, you know, most of us here thinking, okay, Scotland's going to take this one. Scotland's going to win. But what do we think about scores? Do we think it's going to be sort of a one-way affair like Ireland-Tonga? Or do we think that actually the Tongans will come back now with a vengeance? That was their first game. They're now in it. They've got their heads around the World Cup. What do we think? Are we going to see some big scoring here, or is it going to be quite a tightly contested affair? Seth McFartland here saying sort of Dupontless France will still beat the Box at home. So yeah, I mean, France are still a threat. You know, people saying, okay, well, this is it. France are out now without Dupont and Intermac, but I could not write the French off at home at all. So I think they're definitely a worthy opponent. Definitely need to keep our eyes on them. But guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. 62 of us, I think, watching now at the same time. So excellent to have all of you here. Please make sure, if you haven't already, just hit the like button. I know it's really annoying when I say that, but it does make a huge difference for us as a channel. It just lets YouTube know that this is a legit stream, and lets YouTube know that this is being engaged with, that people are enjoying this, and then it sort of pushes it out to those people who are looking for our stream. So please make sure, if you are there, easiest thing to do is just hit the like button. Then you can subscribe as well. That would be fantastic. And if you're really feeling generous, have a look at becoming a channel member. 19 Rand 99 a month. It just allows us to bring you all this excellent coverage. Okay, so switching gears slightly, we're going to move to the Tongan side then. And we have not, unfortunately, got player profiles for you. So I'm going to do my best with these pronunciations. And please, if I do butcher them, apologies in advance. I have been practicing throughout the week. Although we haven't, I don't think we've got from World Rugby the pronunciation guide for the Tongans. So I have been practicing my Fijians and Samoans as well. But let's have a look. So if we go starting from number 1 is Siegfried Fisi Ihoi. Then at number 2 is Paula Nagaumo. Number 3 then is Captain Ben Tamifuna. So interesting to have a prop. I'm trying to think about the last time I've really sort of seen a prop or front row be a captain. So great to see him lead from the literal front there. Number 4 then is Hala Leva Fifita. Number 5, Big Sam Losi. 6 is Tangi Noa Hala Ifona. 7, Sione Taliutia. And 8 is Vai Fifita. So definitely a strong pack. And again, many of these names, many of these players, not really that familiar with because we just don't get to see them much unless you're watching the club rugby these guys are playing. Potentially, your top 14, your Premiership rugby. For me at least, it's quite exciting to see these guys. And this brings us back to the age-old discussion about these emerging rugby nations or tier 2 rugby nations, and just needing more game time. And how do we make that happen? But moving into the backs here, then obviously number 9, Augustine Pulu. At 10 is William Havili. Then onto the wings, 11 is Afusipa Tau Mopeu. At 12 is Peter Aki. 13 is Malachi Fekitoa. 14 is Solomon Kata. And then rounding out 15 is Salesi Piutau. So obviously Charles Piutau now going by Salesi Piutau. And just in a bit of a pre-match interview there, he was saying, when he went across to New Zealand high school, is the name there, Salesi, translates to Charles, and he just went with that because it was easier for teachers and whatnot. But coming back into the Tongan side, his heritage and everything, he'd now prefer to go by Salesi. So now moving on to your bench then, 16 is Sam Moli, 17 Tao Kolo Matangi, 18 is Soso Fefu Api Katoa, 19 is Adam Coleman, 20 is Semi Si Pae, and a 21 Siono Vaila Anu, and a 22 Sonatane Takulua. So again, I think the Tongans will really this will be a do or die game for them. They will see that they need to put this Scottish side under the pump. If they can win, then excellent. If they can't, then they want to at least come away with a losing bonus point. But I think first mindset will definitely need to come away with the win. David Watkins, hello in the chat. Excellent to have you here with us. Bit of chat going on about South Africa still. And about the game last night. So very difficult, to sort of think about anything, other than that, given how much build-up there was to the game. It was possibly the most highly anticipated game of the World Cup. I think bar maybe the France-New Zealand opener, this definitely was a big one. But we'll have to see. There's different ways to get in. And if we remember, it's 2019 as Springbok fans. The Boks did lose their pool game against the All Blacks and still went on to do well and then and to win. But I think this is, it's a different World Cup. It's definitely a tougher road, I believe, to the final, especially with the quarters, with a team like potentially the All Blacks or France, it's going to be a tough way to go. But if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And I think that statement is proving to be very true for the teams, at least on the one side of the draw, your France, New Zealand, South Africa and Ireland. But we do see the teams now running out onto the field. Scotland in their dark blue kits and Tonga in their red and white kits. We see Skuman accelerating out number 17. Crowd is in good spirits. They will be stoked to see their team and hopefully see their team get off to a different result from their previous game. And crazy to think that Scotland's just played one game. It feels like ages ago. But that bye week really does kind of take them out of your mind a bit. So we'll have to see what the teams can do. Before we do get underway, guys, just a massive thank you to our 2 channel partners, BOYLESPORTS and BITDEFENDER. So again, thanks to you guys and your engagement with the videos and our channel members. That's one route that allows us to do this. And the second one is through our channel partners, obviously in BITDEFENDER and BOYLESPORTS. So if you think you know what's going to happen in the game, if you think you know what the result's going to be, then why don't you head over to Boyle Sports, and you can find that link down in the description below, and put some money on what you think the result is going to be. If you're not sure about where you should be putting your money, definitely check out Chris Rowe's videos on the channel. Chris's pro tips. He gives you an indication of where he thinks the money is going to be most fruitful. So a big thank you to Boyle Sports, and they'll give you a sign up bonus, a matching bonus of up to R1,000. So you put in R1, they put in R1. You put in 500, they put in 500. You put in 1,000, they will put in R1,000 and match you on your first deposit. So a big thank you to Boyle Sports. We'll chat about BITDEFENDER a little bit later on. But yeah, let's go. Before we get kickoff, which is going to be in about 4 minutes or so, why don't we start getting some score predictions in the chat? I'm trying to think what I've said for my SUPERBRU, but I have said Scotland, and I think I've said Scotland by about 20 odd points. So I reckon there's going to be a Scottish victory here, and I do think the Scots will be able to take it away from the Tongans. So in the chat, let's get your score predictions there. What do we think? As I said, is it going to be a tightly contested affair? Are the Tongans going to show up today and play the rugby we know they can play? I mean, was it 2007 or 2011? I think it was 2007, where South Africa almost didn't make it past Tonga in that very, very, very tough pool game. So we know they can play some excellent rugby, but it's just about how long, right? And we've spoken about this, the emerging nation rugby sides, 60-minute performances they can string together. But I think after that, it gets a bit tough. So yeah, let me know definitely in the chat. What do we think? Right, so Scottish national anthem done, and on to the Tongans. Relatable being an absolute champion. 21 points to 9. I think Relatable, I assume that's in Scotland's favour there. I think that's, it's where I'm roughly sitting. I think potentially maybe a bit of a bigger points differential, but interesting. I think you've gone for a no try option there. Is that correct for Tonga? So just backing off some penalties there with a 9 points. And yeah, it'll be good to see the Scottish backline firing. I think the Boks did a good job at breaking them down and pretty much not allowing them to get going. So undoubtedly, Finn Russell will be really looking to get his team working, taking that ball flat to the line and setting the likes of Harris off and Tuipulotu out as well. And can he unleash the two South African-born wings, but Scottish wings, Duan van der Merwe and Carl Steyn? So Tongan anthem overs. Yeah, but for Scotland, absolutely. So the anthem is done. The anthems are done, rather, and we are then going to see the traditional challenge laid down by the Tongans first, and then the game will get underway. It looks like an absolutely stunning evening in Paris. Not Paris, excuse me, France. Epic stuff. Stadium looks nice and full, which is good, for a game that potentially many people might not have seen as that important or not going to watch. It's still a Rugby World Cup game. These are still two quality sides that can put on a show. Very entertaining. So it's epic to see there that the stadiums are being packed. I've actually got a few friends who live out in France, all over the country, and they've said that the tourists have been phenomenal. They said it's been fantastic. There've been so many people out and about. It's just brought a whole sense of life to many of these small towns and some of the larger cities as well. You see big captain there, Ben Tamifuna, in the center of his troops. And the Scottish standing strong against the challenge, or accepting it. And it is 22. Sonatane Takulua leading and laying down the challenge for the Tongans. Jonathan Manson in the chat there saying, if Scots are fortunate with maybe an unexpected Sinbin, 36 points to 10. Okay, yeah, that's kind of, I think, a margin where I'm sitting at as well. Discipline, we know, is going to be a big thing for Tonga. To make sure that they can get right. We've seen the refs not quick to go to yellow cards. I think they've just been quite consistent with the yellow cards, at least, more or less. There's been a few calls that potentially should have been cards and that went unrecognized. Tonga will need to keep as many men on the field at all times. That's goal number one. We saw the Chileans struggling to do that yesterday. Again, Chile now getting their 5th yellow card across 3 games. So massive issue for the Chileans. It wasn't cynical, it was just repeated infringements that did see Mateus Dittus off for the second time this World Cup, actually. So he won't be too pleased with that. But can the Tongans sort of tighten things up a bit, make sure that their discipline is on point, which is something, again, I know we're going to keep going back to it. Apologies to those of you who don't really care about the South Africa Island game, but I think the box discipline was quite poor last night. I think we gave away far too many penalties. We're normally not a side that gives away many penalties. We were sort of sorry guys, we were just giving infringements away left, right, and center. So we will look to see hopefully a better performance here tonight from these two sides. yeah, relatable saying 5 yellows is rough. It is rough. I mean, in 3 games, so there was 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, and you can't win games. Especially as a side coming into your first Rugby World Cup and not having the experience of the other sides, you're going to give yourself the best shot, and keeping men on the field is the best way to do that. So here we see the sides lining up, ready to go. Tonga is going to be playing from left to right. As I said, Tonga in their red and white kits, Scotland in their dark navies. And things getting underway here shortly. It is the Englishman Carl Dixon who's going to be refereeing the game today. And Tonga to kick, and Havili does so deep into the Scottish 22, but it is Dempsey to collect and take it down safely into contact. White there organising his troops to build a bit of a chain so he can clear well. Boxes, makes it over the challenge. Doesn't find touch though, bounces awkwardly, but eventually picked up by Havili. He's got Piatau to his right, offloads. Piatau into contact, shrugs off one, takes 2 Scotsmen to bring him down. He's eventually brought to ground. Scottish have to release. And here we go, Tonga with the first sort of meaningful bit of attack. Pulu there, interestingly, not interested in setting off his back line, rather kicking high and contesting. So in their half, maybe this is the strategy we might see. It is knocked back by the Tongans and picked up by Pulu, so the strategy has worked. There's a knock-on as well from the Scottish, so advantage here to Tonga. Nice little bit of attacking opportunity for them. Big strong run by number 7, Tali Tui, taking it into contact. Pulu then, after his big number 5, Sam Lucy. Pulu out to the left still. Havili looks, but takes it into contact. Pops it off the floor. It falls into the hands of Scotland now. Can Scotland counterattack? But Blair Horn hoists it downfield. There's no one at home. Blair Horn making Kinghorn making an absolute run for it. And I think Blair Kinghorn has scored a try here. And I think he has indeed. The referee has awarded a try. So excellent bit to to identify the space in behind. And Blair Kinghorn's pace there, just absolutely phenomenal as he outran all of the Tongan players. What a sprint, yeah. Not sure he got that over the line, says David Watkins. I'm not 100% either. We will go to the TMO to check. He doesn't look too convinced. Nope, there it is. It is a knock-on. So all the praises I was singing still apply. Just unfortunate there, yeah, no try. The ball was just short. If that had been over the line, it would have been a try. But obviously had massive pressure on him, wasn't able to pick it up and dot it down. But excellent still to identify. So I think showing Tonga there, look, Oaks, you got to be careful because we will identify the space. We can see how disappointed Kinghorn is, but off to a pretty flying start here. So, Scotland will be looking to put a lot of pressure into this scrum and try cause a bit of discomfort. So right under the posts, it is the Tongans' ball. Not an easy position to clear from. The Tongan pack heavily outweighing the Scottish at 964 to 881. So almost 100 kilos heavier. Shouldn't be that surprised. We know these Pacific Islander and these Pacific Island nations tend to produce some big lads. Chat Sport, they're saying big miss. Absolutely. I think there was an opportunity that they would have really liked to take advantage of. So the scrum is solid, picked up from the back and then fed into Pulu, who then hoisted downfield, finding good clearance there. So really well done by the Tongans. Again, I'm a big fan of exit strategies, and I think if you can exit well, then you should be able to do other facets of your game well as well. So nicely done for the Tongans. They're relieving a lot of pressure. Yeah, David, I agree. I think he could have dove on it, right, and carried it over the line for a momentum try. Anyway, that line out from the Scottish there, definitely not straight, but then a knock on, and then Carl Dixon just being a bit confused. So there was a penalty to Tonga, but then it looks like a penalty to Scotland, potentially the Tongans offside. And so it is a Scottish penalty, but on the halfway mark, Finn Russell will look to put this into the Tongan 22, which he does just. So Scotland here with their sort of first meaningful bit of attack here, opportunity to put pressure and potentially come away with some points. So again, that Tongan discipline, not just with yellow cards, but all over the park. So Turner looks, finds, I believe it's Gray, brings it down, rolling more now. Scottish forwards are making their way sideways, but slightly upfield. Just a metre or two into the 22 now. Ben White told to use it once, so that is stopped once. Now there's a big open gap. Now the Scottish forwards are just absolutely rampaging through. There's no one in front of them. They trip over themselves and they do score a try. So that did look a bit dicey at the end there. But the Scots are on the board. That was far too easy there for the Scottish. The Tongan forwards just seemed to disintegrate and dissolve, really. And the Scottish forwards almost falling over their own. Well, they did fall over their own foot. But it is George Turner, the hooker, comes away with his first Rugby World Cup 23 try. So well done to him. But yeah, just looking at the replay here, the Tongans were just fractured, and then the train and just Scottish power just kept going. So far too easy. But Turner did well to sort of see that collapse, had to dive for the line, reach over. So good try from him. But good work from the Scottish forwards. But yeah, I agree with David Watkins. Far, far, far too easy. So Tonga need to look to tighten it up. The Scots, no doubt, will be looking to take advantage of that as often as they can. So Finn Russell, his first kick of the match, looking to convert. So left-hand side, 2 or 3 meters outside the 15. No issues for Finn Russell as he slots that one through the posts. Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan, I agree with you. An early lead was critical, and the Scots have got that, and now they'll look to just keep applying that pressure again. They will be after a big points differential in this game. Yeah, and I think if they can do that, if they can get ahead early and sort of build a big enough lead, they can start to experiment a little bit. Look to see what they might do in that game against Ireland. So we are underway again. Havili has once again kicked it into the Scottish 22. White finds Cummings, takes it well into contact, still in the 22 though. Now out to Finn Russell. Russell doesn't look to clear it, but rather hikes one up. Contestable position, Kinghorn, a bit of bobbling, but it does fall into the hands of the Tongan number 11. Sipa Tau Maupeo. Richie Gray making a nuisance of himself. And there was a knock-on, so we'll come back for the knock-on advantage. So I think he was through there legally. So not Richie Gray, Jamie Ritchie. We will come here for the scrum. So a little bit of conversation going on between the two sides, and the ref saying, all right, well, let's get on with the scrum then, shall we? So the second scrum of the game. First one looked very solid, didn't look like much movement. Right underneath the Tongan post. This one down in Scottish territory. In Tonga looking to use this as an attacking platform. They do have a decent sized blind side, but they have stacked more or less mostly everyone out to the right-hand side. Scrum is solid. Secondary shove from Scotland, but there is a penalty advantage. So we pick and go around the blind side. It is stabbed through, and the bounce isn't favourable, but we will come back for the penalty. And it's number 1 penalised, Sutherland, I believe, for dropping his bind. So Tonga's first chance. This, I think, is definitely or knees to the ground. So Sutherland, yeah, they're penalised. I think, yeah, we see there. Good call. His knee going to the ground. Again, I'm never a fan of, and the shot is called, so they will go for the post. I do think that's the right decision. It's the smart decision. I'm never a fan of when teams kick away a penalty advantage too early. I always like to see them have a go with it. See, this is your opportunity to try sort of risky plays, not kicking, but try something, build a bit of phases, see what you can get through a couple phases, and then if nothing comes, then try the crossfield kick or the stab through. You've got that penalty advantage. I don't know if it's a fear that penalty advantage will run out, but we do see refs playing penalty advantage for a long, long time. So yeah, Pulu then just deciding to go down the blind side and stab it through. 9 times out of 10 is going to be easily collected there when the Scottish defence was set for a Tongan attack. But it is William Havili here for the first kick of the match for Tonga, just to the left of the posts on the 10 meters. And he has no issue with that, splits the uprights excellently. The Tongan fans are absolutely loving it. Excellent work. Why wouldn't they? So good work from Tonga. I think smart decision, go for the 3, close that gap, scoreboard pressure. Good work. So Finn Russell now looks to get us underway. 10 minutes in. And already 2 scores, so are we in for a big one? Right, high hanging kick just outside the 22. Did look like it came off a Scottish hand. Indeed it is, so a knock-on advantage to the Tongans. They're outside their 22. Pulu then finds Havili looking, finds Piatau, little step inside. Excuse me, that was number 13, rather, Fekitoa. And then no advantage gained, so we'll come back for the Tongan scrum. So a bit scrappy here. I think neither side really being able to build many phases and see any sort of game plan. It was Duan van der Merwe trying to tap that ball backwards and just coming off his fingers and going forwards. But yeah, no real sense of rhythm at the moment. Quite stop-start, I think, for the first 10 minutes. Yeah, no, I agree with Jonathan in the chat there saying that the Scots can sometimes be a bit too scrappy. I'm with you, and we can see this. I mean, look, we haven't seen much of ball in hand, but I definitely think they will be looking to get to 2 tries, to 3 tries, and then ultimately to 4 to keep themselves in contention in this World Cup. But yeah, we want to see a Scotland side. We want to see both sides play well, but a Scotland side that was 5th in the world coming into the tournament for a reason. They were playing good rugby. They can play good rugby, so let's see them play good rugby. Back to last night's game, the Springbok set piece looked pretty solid. I think at the scrums we were maybe a bit too eager, and sometimes we got penalised, I think, 2 or 3 times for pushing too early. I do wonder if it was the Irish just walking back a little bit, but we need to be smarter on that and know to not do that. We should be able to. But solid scrum here from both sides. The ball is out and into William Havili's hands, who hoofs it downfield on ranging kick, but does find Duan van der Merwe, who is going to do what he does and run it back. Skips around, goes a bit sideways, shrugs off one, but is eventually, nope, still running. Excellent work by him. Good meters made. So over the halfway mark. So now Russell finds a lovely pass out there. Is that Steyn? Or it might have been Harris. Then Russell again finds his forward. Sunderland taking it strongly into contact, but met well by the Tongan defence. Tongan player on the wrong side, but able to get out the way. White finds Russell. Russell to Richie. Richie isolated, but the inside centre Tuipulotu, excuse me, does well to clear. So right, here come the Scots to the right-hand side. This is Harris. Harris gets it off nicely to Kinghorn. Kinghorn does find Stain on the wings. This is better from Scotland. And then the ball is shot out of the tackle and right into the hands of the Tongans. So unfortunate there for Scotland, but the ball dislodged. So Tonga looking to potentially run it, but then it ultimately kicked down the field. 50-22 is maybe on, given the bounce of the ball, but no, just shy of the 22. So we will have a Scottish lineup, but good work from the Tongans there to do a bit of cover defense. Wow, I see Fekitoa and Duan van der Merwe clashing, two Titans. And then another big matchup between Sunderland there. I think it was opposite number. So good work by the Scottish though. Stain comes back inside and just, ball dislodged. Shot back into the hands of Fekitoa. But promising from Scotland. Right, Turner goes to the back, finds Cummings just, and that rolling maul sets again, but it does trip over one of the Tongans on the floor, so that will be that. Ben White will have to look to box, which he does. Van der Merwe gives chase. Competable, not really. Oof. Now, Duan van der Merwe has just been knocked to the floor. It's not something we see very often, and that was by Solomon Kata, so big, strong run from him there. Duan will be, doesn't happen to him often. Right, here come Tonga. What can they do with ball in hand? Few little loose offloads again, want to make sure that they're not just tossing possession away carelessly. Gets messy at ruck time. The Scots have been able to turn it over, so Tonga not respecting the ruck enough. Kinghorn then is outside his 22, I believe. Doesn't find touch. William Havili, though. Ball in hand, looks to take it to the Scots. Tries to get it offload, comes off one of the Scottish backs, though. Tuipulotu then back to Kinghorn. Kinghorn to Russell, now coming to the left. Russell identifying the space, trying to get the 50-22. Has he done it? Where has that ball gone out? It looks like it's bounced very close. Obviously, Russell, and it has indeed gone out in the 22 meter. So excellent identification from Finn Russell there to get that 50-22 and just, half a meter inside the Tongan 22. So good work from the Scottish number 10. Buffalo in the chat saying National Bride Day in South Africa tomorrow, more and likely now a National Day of Mourning. It's not over yet, Buffalo. As you just see a replay of Duan van der Merwe getting absolutely sat down by Kata. Right, the Scots go to the back of the lineup again. They find Dempsey now. Again, the rolling maul is something we would expect them to see, use over and over. They had such good success on that first one. However, Tongans better in this one. Use it once already. It's very messy now, but it's still available. White, the little dab through, goes himself, half gaps, made good meters, is isolated. William Havili should have hands on that, and does. So disrupts a Pulu now ball in hand, and he kicks it downfield. So again, the Scottish just not being able to be clinical and look after the ball when on attack. Kinghorn under a bit of pressure, so he has to return with a kick. Doesn't find touch. Nice little out the back pass, but unfortunately, Piatau not able to hang on to it, and it does go out into touch. So Scotland will have a line out, I believe, still in their half though. Nice little out the back door pass, and Piatau just something, a catch that he's taken 100 times. Yeah, puts his hands up in apologies to his team. But Buffalo, it's not over yet. No day of mourning needed. I think lessons will be learned. Right, the Scots go quick. Play on, says the referee. So Finn Russell hoists one up. Not quite contestable, but Stain does well to put pressure and make the tackle. They do throw numbers into the ruck, but Fekitoa is able to get that ball away really quickly. Good job by the Tongan. So inside the Tongan 22 now just. Aki there playing scrum half. But now Pulu back on his feet, resumes his normal service. We'll look to box click, potentially find touch. And he does, but we're going to play quickly, says Kinghorn, to Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe out to Tuipulotu. supports on his left, bit of a cartwheel there in the tackle. White now out to the right-hand side. Russell feeds the forwards over the halfway mark. Again, not really seeing many phases here from the Scots. And again, Finn Russell kicking that ball away, bounces awkwardly, but collected eventually by the Tongans. So it's then hoofed back downfield. So Kinghorn now ball in hand, looks to run, gets round one, and then eventually upended in the tackle. Ball comes loose. It is knocked on, so it will be the Tongan ball. So again, interesting from the Scots, not really wanting to play with the ball much in their half, not even in their 22, and they're looking to kick it quite early. Not potentially trying to find any time or space, just kicking it through, maybe looking for more of a territory game at the moment. But nice run, but solid tackle there on Tupelatu, just actually careened over one of the Tongan players. He tried to snatch him in the air, but cartwheeled over him. And Kinghorn not finding a way through there, and eventually the ball getting sort of held up and then eventually stripped and knocked on. So a bit messy there from the Scottish. They'll be looking to tidy that up. It is still 7-3 with 18.5 minutes down. We do a bit of timeout here for potential injury on one of the Tongan forwards. So while we wait for play to resume, guys, just a big shout out to our channel sponsors. As I said, BOYLESPORTS earlier we spoke about, at BitDefender as well. So if you are interested in protecting all your cyber security goods and whatnot, please do go check out BitDefender in the channel link description. They are the global leader in cybersecurity, and they're committed to defending your all people around the globe, but interestingly, defending your information and improving your digital experience. So a big thank you to BitDefender for their sponsorship. And again, massive thank you to you guys for tuning in with me here today. Make sure you have liked the video and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out. And potentially becoming a channel member if you are able to. Right, we go to the scrum. It has been solid for both sides. No side really showing dominance. This one is a bit less stable, but Tonga able to come away with it well. Taking it to the line here. Lots of space. Lovely skip pass over the top into the hands of Kata. Strong run from him up the right-hand side here. He'll be one to watch. There, Pulu then feeds the big men back inside to the left. Gets down for a tackle. Again, no numbers in that ruck. Advantage, though, deemed illegally. So Tonga here with a bit of space to play. Gets a lovely offload through. And try time for Tonga. Excellent work by them. The Scottish caught sleeping, but I think an absolutely phenomenal little out the back pass here. We'll have to see it on the replay because that was so quick. But I think it is indeed Solomon Kata coming away with a try, and well deserved. So far he's had some stellar runs. And here from the attack, we see Pulu taking it to the line, and then unleashing Havili, finding a lovely skip pass over. And then Kata here taking on Don Fanamiva, and then into Kinghorn. And then here, lovely offload going down in the tackle. Brilliant work. I think that might have been Aki going down, or was it Pietau? Salesi Pietau, I think, getting that offload off, showing his class. So excellent work there. Yep, so having a look at John in the chat there, I think you're probably right. Yeah, weak penetration. Interesting, the Scots, we know they can be quite threatening in their backline, and they've got solid wingers, solid centres. When you've got a playmaker like Finn Russell, your attack should be more penetrative, but just not getting the job done so far as Tonga extend their lead. Excellent conversion there by William Havili. So I do believe it goes to 10 points to 7, 21 minutes done. Both teams with a try apiece. It is indeed a Salesi Pietau getting off. A phenomenal little offload there going down in the tackle, and ultimately scored by Solomon Akata. So good work for the Tongans, showing how threatening they can be. Again, a massive respect for them. So the Box will not be taking them likely next weekend. Kinghorn then gets the restart underway and right close to the touchline inside the 22 of the Tongan territory, but manages to keep it in. Bit scrappy, but eventually falls Tonga's way. Pulu then to his forwards, big number 5, Sam Lausi. Gets down eventually, now outside the 22. Not able to kick it directly into touch. So Pulu looks to box. Does so well, bit far. Easy one for Kinghorn to take. Offloads it to Dempsey, who gets smothered quite quickly. White ball out to Turner, held up in contact, but eventually over the gain line. White then out to Russell, inside to Duan van der Merwe, skips round, going sideways though, and eventually hit hard in the contact. So Duan struggling to get a foothold in the game here. White then brings it back to the left-hand side. Nice little interplay there. But the Tongan defense doing well to sort of shut off many options. And eventually just take them to ground. So Tongan defense looking good here. Can they sustain this though? Nice little pop pass. Lovely little breakthrough here from Sunderland. It was a nice pop from Gray to Sunderland. They've made good meters now into the Tongan half. Screening for quick ball, but it is a bit slow. Russell then feeds Fagerson, who makes a good solid run. White complaining the ball is slow, which it is very. Then out to Richie. Comes loose, but still backwards. Russell having to do a bit of cleanup work, gets around one, shrugs off one. Kinghorn, Gray. Going backwards are the Scotters. The Tongan defense proving strong. Just a bit calmer here. So again, this is now somewhere you would have expected them potentially to kick, but now they seem intent on running it, although they're not making many meters. So all the way on the left-hand side, White back inside to Richie. White, Russell. Russell now hoists one over, identifying a bit of space. Lovely. Oh, picked up by Carl Steyn, but he has knocked it on in the contact. Thought he had his hands on that. He does seem to be in a bit of pain there, potentially just winded. So now Tongans with possession, and they will come back for the knock-on, and Carl Steyn does eventually go down. I think he was hit very hard trying to go for that ball, potentially just winded heavily in the contact. A nice spin there from Sutherland to make that run up the field, gain some valuable meters for his side. A good kick by Russell, but good chase by Steyn. Interesting to see if there's any sort of attempt at a tackle here, or is this just a shoulder from Havili? I mean, that just to me looks like, no attempted wrap, just a shoulder into the ribs of Carl Steyn. So again, it's this inconsistency potentially, because I feel like that, we saw something similar where there was no arms. It was just a shoulder. There was no intent. Here we go. So the TMO is indeed saying that is foul play. There's no arms in that. So Scotland will come away with a penalty in a good position to kick it downfield, gain some ground, and try affect that rolling maul, which was so successful, that first try that they scored. So Ben Russell doing a little bit of a banana kick, getting them into the 22. So Scotland will look to definitely convert this pressure into points. I think they'll be quite disappointed if they don't come away with something from this visit. Again, which is an area that the South Africans were struggling last night to convert those visits into the Irish 22 into any sort of points. Right, Turner to the back, finds Dempsey. Down they go, rolling more. Surprise, surprise. A little bit of movement forward, but not much. White urging on his forwards, hoping to find a way through, but the Tongans learning from their first mistake, which is better. Again, now Scotland need to take it out. It's not going anywhere. Tupolatu out the back to Russell. Russell to Kinghorn. Kinghorn to Duan van der Merwe, who will go over the line for a well-worked Scottish try. So that's much better from Scotland there. Scottish forwards sucking in a lot of defence, but then lovely play from the Scottish backs. Tupolatu sucking in a lot of defenders, drawing them on him and unleashing then Finn Russell with an excellent pass out to Kinghorn. Kinghorn 2-on-1, popping it to Duan van der Merwe. And the tries continue for the big winger. So Scotland back in front now, 12 points to 10. And we see the replay, really nicely done. Again, Harris also keeping men honest there and allowing Finn Russell to wrap around. So nicely worked by the Scottish backs. Yeah, really good stuff. Salesi Pietau having to commit to Blake Kinghorn there, not allowing him to sell the dummy. And the fans absolutely loving it. All right, 12 points to 10, conversion to come, 26 minutes done. 46-meter kick for Finn Russell. Pretty much almost exactly the same spot as his first. Oh no, excuse me, this one's tighter to the touch line. And he just pulls it to the left, so not finding his way through there. So the scores remain at 12 points to 10 to Scotland. They will definitely be looking to, I think, at least score once or twice more before the half to build up a bit of a cushion. But Tonga have been looking much better than they did against Ireland. Again, that first World Cup game is always a tricky one. But they have been looking good, have the Tongans. Defense has been solid. They've been walking the Scottish attack backwards. We haven't seen many multi-phase attacks from the Tongans, though, so that's something I'm sure they'll be looking to do. Dempsey collects and takes it outside his 22. White feeds the forwards. Now Ben White looks to box kick. And does so. Can't kick it directly out. Doesn't. Finds Salesi Pietau going sideways, looking for a way through. It runs straight into the Scottish defender in Tupelotu. Here come Tonga again. Good work by them. There is space on the left-hand side and a bit of numbers. The ball's a bit slow. Captain Ben Tamifuna then shifts it on to his number 11, Tau Mopiawa. Solid run there from number 4, Hala Leva Fifita. Slow ball here for the Tongans, though. Out to Havili, flat ball. But we have been called back. And it is a Scottish penalty. So again, no arms, it looked like, or no wrap there, either on the clean potentially. So this is something we spoke about. I think who was it? Was it Jonathan or someone in the chat was saying the Tongan discipline needs to be careful. And this is an area that's letting them down. It was good pressure. They were building there. They had the possession. There was no need to give away a soft penalty. Just allow the Scots to now come back into your half, just outside your 22. Turner looks, and again, finds an overthrow that looked intentional, but there's a bounce. So Steyn now from Ritchie back inside to Steyn. This is promising for Scotland. Russell wants it quickly. Doesn't quite come to him yet. Doing a lot of work, telling the forwards to get involved. Ferguson takes it into contact just inside the Tongan 22. White now brings us back to the right-hand side. Sutherland's taking it into contact, going sideways, not necessarily forward. Ritchie tries to get it out to Russell. Does bounce, so still backwards. Still Scottish ball. White now out to Ritchie. He's getting involved. You know what a workhorse and an engine he has on him. White now out to Russell with a lovely flat pass through, and Steyn is over. Good work from the Scottish winger there. So a try apiece for the two Scottish wingers, but my goodness, Finn Russell take a bow. That pass to pick out Kyle Steyn was absolutely superb. Good work from the Scottish fly half there. And this is what we know he can do and what we didn't really see him do in the South African game, I think, because the South African defense put such big pressure on him, not allowing him the time on the ball. So Tonga will need to look to identify that quicker. Here we see a replay. Just lots of time. Oh my gosh, zipping it across the face of both Gray and Sutherland, finding Kyle Steyn and breaking through contact. Identifying he was around his man. Good work from the Scottish winger. So Scotland looking good on attack. And again, it just comes from that ill discipline from Tonga, unfortunately, giving away the cheap penalty at the ruck for potentially not using arms in the clean out. When you had possession, it was unnecessary. allow Scotland to kick it down into your 22 or your half, build the pressure, and ultimately score a try. Discipline. Right, 46-meter kick from the right-hand side now. And Russell off the upright, so no conversion there. Russell just looks at that one a bit perplexed. I think he thought he had that. Wow, really good work from him as we see that replay there. So Scotland's starting to turn the screws a bit more, looking very much more clinical on attack. 9 minutes to go in the first half with a lead of 7. So still a very close game. Tonga, again, only 1 or 2 meaningful bouts of possession, and they looked good when they had that. So they'll be looking to get ball in hand and just keep the discipline. They are very much still in this game. All right, Havili gets us underway deep into Scottish territory. Run back out. Good solid run through Dempsey. Again, I do rate him as an 8. Not the biggest. A little bit loose there from Ben White. And so it is picked up by the Tongans. So a good opportunity for them to look to counter now, making sure they don't run into tackles alone. And just keeping their cool. Scottish forwards half identifying an opportunity there. Pulu then out to his number 7, Tali Tui. Then on to his number 6, comes onto it strong, Hala I Fauna. Pulu finds Havili. No, his number 7 again, who's back up on his feet. Tongan's working very hard here. Now comes back to the right-hand side to the big men. Number 4, Fifita. Bit slow, then finds number 8, via Fifita. Stopped well in contact though, not allowed to get over the gain line. Pulu has to go into clear, so Fekitoa playing 9. It is knocked on. Opportunity here for the Scots. Turner with a great burst of acceleration. Unfortunate there for Tonga. Now Russell, now there's space. Oh, just not a great pass, but it does bounce. So here come Scotland. Carl Steyn again in and out. Eventually brought down though by the 12, Aki. So Scotland on the charge all the way back up over the halfway mark. They will be having their tails up. Oof, hard contact on Richie there. Head snapping backwards, but looked legal. Good pressure from Havili there, just causing the overthrow. I think Finn Russell is still down. And unfortunately, I think it was Havili who was offside. Now, Richie seems to be in a bit of pain there. He took a monster hit. There is a shoulder to the head, though, so I will be very surprised if this does not go to at least a yellow card with a review. And Richie is coming off for an HIA, yeah, and you can see the number 11 drops his head. Afusipa Tau Mopua, who's had a great game. He's been very physical and running hard, but just not dipping low enough. Shoulder, direct contact to Richie's head. So I reckon this is at least a yellow card, if not more. There weren't any other players. Richie is going low into contact, but he's not doing any sudden dips. That is shoulder directly to the head. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't straight red. So let's see what Carl Dixon says. He does go to the pockets. It is a yellow card with a review. So yellow card with a review. Not excellent work. Again, we spoke about the discipline. And again, Finn Russell, I think, was taken out also quite late. Captain Ben Tamifuna trying to argue, I think, his team's position. So Ferguson comes on in place of Richie for that HIA. So the speedster Apu Sipa's fate hangs in the balance as we do go to the bunker system. But in the interim, I think it was Kinghorn who kicks Scotland down into the Tongan 22. Again, Scotland will feel like they've scored from several visits into the 22, so they will be feeling good about this opportunity. Tonga now a man down, so there will be numbers out wide. Go to the back, this time finding Gray. Turner has it. A little rolling more sideways, but slightly forward. Good control there by the Scots. So again, it's now starting to open up, wheeling around, eventually splinters off. White finds Russell. Russell, a little offload, but into the hands of the Tongan. So we might see this be a Scottish line out. Scotland a bit perplexed, but I think it is going to be the Tongans who come away with possession. So Russell trying to get around the contact, but really doing a great job. And indeed, that does look to have been taken out by the Tongans. So I think the Scots have a case here, but it is going to be a scrum. So some sort of knock-on infringement is deemed to happen first. All the way on the left-hand side on the 5 meter, almost where the 5 meters intersect actually. And it will be the Tongan put in. So pressure position here for them to get out of their 22 well. Scrum collapsing on the left-hand side here, going straight down. So we will have a reset. And again, maybe Scotland there just wanting to score a bit too eagerly. Again, it was a solid driving maul. Turner did well to then splint off, make his side some valuable meters. And it was almost then like, Russell wanted to score first phase, which the Scots have done pretty much. But potentially the opportunity to slow things down, go a couple phases, you're a man up, the space has to eventually come somewhere, instead of going for the Hail Mary pass. But had it worked, we would have been singing his praises, saying what a genius he is. So it can be quite cruel sometimes. But not long now, 4 minutes to go. In the first half here, Scotland leading Tonga 17 points to 10. Here come the Tongans. Strong run up the centre field. Good meters made by Peter Aki. Pulu will probably look to box clear here. Does so. Finds touch. Just outside, a couple meters, potentially 10 meters or so out the 22. There is clearly lots of deliberation going around on that yellow card. Again, I do feel my gut instinct says we've seen red be given for that. We've seen red be given for less, so wouldn't be surprised. Right, Scotland line out, they find Gray off the top to White. White then shoots it out to Velatu, who then wraps around to Russell. Russell finds Duan van der Merwe, gets trapped up. Duan probably should have given that out to the right there. Turned over by Tonga here, so Tonga on the attack. Salesi Piatal, that was definitely forward, but play on. I'm sure we'll come back for that though. Right, pick and go then from Salesi, isolated, trying to keep the ball in, and eventually taken out into contact. So we'll have the Scottish line out. So again, looking good from the Tongans, just running a bit isolated. No real support there for Salesi Piatal. But again, showing that they can be very threatening here. Duan getting taken down on the tackle. You do feel here when he got back up, should have looked to potentially get that away. And good turnover there from the Tongans. So another Scottish line out. Finds Gray, does Turner. They go for a bit of rolling more, see how many meters they can make up the field with this. It does start to roll slowly. About 2 minutes left in the first half. Right, that is that. Out it comes to the back line. Again, we're seeing this very much Tupalatu Russell combination here, putting the number 12 at first receiver. Hoots downfield, and it does not find touch, just stays in. But eventually dragged out into touch by the Scottish defenders. So the Scots will indeed get themselves a line out in a good attacking position. It's good work from Scotland there. Alan, great to have you in the chat. Afternoon was a bit late on the parade today, but happy to see the Jocks leading at this point. Beers are in the fridge, ready for the big game later. Alan, excellent to have you here. Yes, absolutely. I cannot wait to tune in for Wales and Australia. Make sure you tune into Rudy's stream for that one. But good to hear that the beers are in the fridge. Yes, and the Scots are leading. It hasn't been that way for the whole game, but here comes Tuipulotu streaming up the field. Excellent run from the number 12. White then finds Ferguson, who gets tackled strongly by the number 9. Pulu making a solid tackle on the prop there. Russell, skip pass out to the wing. And it is Harris who's then driven backwards. Good, solid defense by the Tongans there. They surely are not rolling away. Advantage does come the Scottish way. Okay, so what can the Scots do? They've got license to play a bit of a freedom here. You do feel like another try is inevitable for the half. The Scots will definitely be searching for that 4th bonus point try. Russell finds Gray, takes down on the 5 meter. White, Russell, no look past to Dempsey on his feet. Dempsey strong for the line. Just short. He is half a meter. White, Russell screaming for it here. White making potentially the wrong call, trying to pick and go himself. Here it comes. Flat pass out. Duan van der Merwe. Don't think he got it down. I think he was short. And you feel like potentially had that ball come out from White first to Russell, that was going to be a try. So no try, but we will come back for the penalty advantage. So Scotland's still in it here. Jamarcus saying Scott's getting helped by the ref. I think he's been pretty consistent, in my opinion. Jamarcus, what are you seeing? What do you feel was unfair there? I do feel that one penalty down on the right-hand side for not rolling away was definitely valid. I think the second penalty is for potentially being offside. Was Harris taking it into contact, but a strong tackle there from big number 1, Siegfried Fisi Ihoy, and then supported by another Tongan defender coming across. Yeah, do unknowing. Normally he scores from that that position, no problem. Dwayne Cronier, yeah, yellow is still yellow at this point. You do feel like we should have heard. I think there is 40 odd seconds, right, until the 8 minutes period for reviewing that is up. So clearly lots of deliberation going on in the bunker. But as I said, it did not look good, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it upgraded to a red card. I feel like that would probably be fair. I don't think it'd be a harsh call. Right, scrum time. Scots earn another penalty advantage, but they'll look to convert, hopefully without having to reset here. Dempsey does well to clean up a messy scrum from the back. Pick and go around the side. Oh, interesting. I do think that won't be a try. So Dodge has come up with it. He's gone over the line. They have awarded a try, but to me, it looked like he was tackled knee on the ground and then got up without releasing the ball. So I don't think this is a try on first glance. I think we will come back for it, or maybe not. So Dempsey here in the replay does well to get it to ground. And then Dodge with it at the base, picks, goes. His knee is down. Yeah, for me, that's no try because he's clearly tackled there. Is he held is the question. That might be, well, tell you what, doesn't matter what I think because they've kicked the conversion. So there we go. Scotland getting the bonus point try well into the end of the first half, the 42nd minute. Rory Dodge there. I think potentially the only thing allowing him was not being held. So we will have to wait and see, guys, if that yellow card remains a yellow, in which case that player will be on very soon, or if it's going to stay a red card. We haven't heard anything yet, but we will be sure to keep you updated. But that is the first half done and dusted. Tonga just not doing themselves many favors with their discipline, something we spoke about coming into this match. But they were very much in it at one point, but the Scots have just been able to be persistent and keep that scoreboard ticking over. Right, I'm going to say goodbye for now for halftime. I'm going to get myself a drink. You guys do the same. I will see you back shortly then to take you through the second half of this game between Scotland and Tonga.
Leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, Stevie P here from Forever Sports, and I'm here to tell you about BOYLESPORTS, the official betting partner of Forever Sports. Across all of our channels, they are one of the leading betting companies in the world and have recently launched in South Africa with an amazing offering. You can get a 1,000 Rand welcome offer. For the rugby, they are giving you 25% payout boost up to 2,000 Rand on the Springboks winning the World Cup, as well as an extra 50 Rand bet when you stake 250 more on rugby during the Rugby World Cup. It is your one-stop betting shop. That is BOYLESPORTS. come and join us in the community. Check the links in the description to sign up, get yourself an account, and make sure that you are winning big with Boyle Sports. Hello and welcome to Fair Rugby on Fair Sport for today's World Rugby Rankings preview. The third round of the Rugby World Cup gets underway tonight, and with it, there are a lot of permutations, lots of things that can happen, lots on the line with regards to how the world rankings are affected, especially because the number one spot is up for grabs. 1 versus 2 in the Springboks versus Ireland this weekend, which will affect the number one spot. Ireland have got an opportunity to put themselves way ahead, whilst the Springboks got an opportunity to try and get themselves back to being, at least from a ranking perspective, the best in the world, as they currently compete to be named the best in the world. And after a 7-1 split announcement yesterday, very interested to see what will happen between South Africa and Ireland. Now, before I look at some of the permutations, and there are quite a few of them, so you're going to have to sort of buckle in a little bit and understand exactly what is on offer and at stake this weekend. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, let's go through them, shall we? So World Rugby has published these ranking permutations, so it's a bit of a preview as to what's going to happen over the next few days in terms of the different clashes. Now, if you're new to the ranking system, there's a whole bunch of things that usually come into play. However, at the moment, there is no home or away advantage, which usually does come into play. But because these are all neutral grounds, for example, even France, it's a neutral game because it is a tournament. They will not receive any different ranking points due to them having the home ground advantage, which means the only thing that are currently affecting the rankings are a win, loss, or draw, and then a win or loss by 15 or more points. So those are the only factors that are affecting the rankings, not home and away as well, which usually come into it. Obviously, what does affect the amount of points you can get for those sort of different factors will still depend on sort of the ranking of the team you're playing against. So, for example, there are more ranking points on offer when you play against a higher team than when you play a low-ranked team. So, let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, the first thing is the number one ranking is on the line in the Pool B encounter between Ireland and South Africa. At St. Denis on Saturday. South Africa could end Ireland's 14-month reign at the top if they are to win. And Andy Farrell's men will actually drop down to third. So Ireland will go down to third if France are victorious over Namibia. And if you've seen that French side, I think it's a pretty good bet. This is despite the fact that the World Cup host cannot improve their rating as a result of the 28.98 rating points between the two sides. However, Ireland will hold on to the number one ranking if they draw with South Africa, even though it won't be a lot of points. So if they draw, they will still hold on to the world ranking, world number one, but they'll be only number one by 0.09 points. A win would see Ireland's cushion over South Africa grow to as much as 6.05 ranking points if the margin of victory is more than 15 points. If beaten, South Africa will also slip below France, a victorious France, into third place. So a win first, a loss third. We won't stay second, as far as I understand, this weekend. Defeat for France, however, would see them drop below New Zealand, who do not play this weekend, into fourth place. However, they can fall no further than fourth. So the top four teams will not change with regards to anybody moving into the top four. Just the positions of them might change as well. Two other teams that are unable to improve their rating points are England and Scotland, even if they have victories over Chile and Tonga, respectively. England's rating is 22.75 points better than Chile's, while Scotland's is 13.4 points higher than Tonga's. Scotland and England, therefore, will remain 5th and 6th, respectively, with victories. England could move above Scotland if they were to win and Scotland were to lose. If Scotland were to lose, they could be falling as many as 5 places to 10th if they were to lose to Tonga, depending on other margins and results. A defeat could see England drop to a new low of 9th, depending on other results. A draw between Wales and Australia, one of the biggest clashes of the weekend, could actually could see their Pool C rivals Fiji climb one place to equal their base position of 7th in the expense of the Welsh, whilst Fiji, who do not play this weekend, could actually jump as high as 5th if England and Scotland both lose and Australia and Wales draw. Australia will fall to a new low of 10th if they lose their Pool C meeting with Wales and Argentina beat Samoa. However, victory for the Wallabies could see them jump as high as 5th in the event that England and Scotland both suffer shock defeat. So England and Scotland lose, Australia win, they can go up to 5th. Defeat for Samoa will see them drop down to 2 places to 13th if Italy and Georgia beat the lower-ranked Uruguay and Portugal, whilst a win for Samoa will see them rise to 9th, climbing above both Argentina and the loser of the Wales-Australia match. Manu Samoa have not been ranked as high as 9th since 2015. Portugal will become the higher ranked of the two nations for the first time if they beat Georgia in Toulouse, whilst they have not beaten their rivals since 2005, but a new high awaits them if they can record their first ever World Cup win. Portugal could climb as high as 13th, depending on the margin of victory and the result of other matches. Georgia, on the other hand, will fall 1 place below Japan if held to a second draw in as many years by Portugal, 2 if Tonga shocks Scotland. They can only improve on their 13th place in victory if Italy fail to beat Uruguay or Samoa are beaten by Argentina. If both of them lose, then Georgia will climb to 11th, the record-equaling position they were in when the tournament kicked off. Uruguay will have to beat Italy by more than 15 points to become the higher ranked of the two nations, a scenario which would see them equal their highest position of 14th. Defeat for Italy would see them fall 2 places, between 2 and 4 places, depending on the margin and results of teams around them. A win for Tonga against Scotland will see them climb above at least Japan, with the Brave Blossoms not playing this weekend. Any further games will depend on the margin of victory and other results. Namibia will return to the top 20 for the first time since 2017 if they can beat France, whilst Chile can enter the top 20 for the first time if they can upset England and record their first ever World Cup victory, and Namibia fail to beat France. Simple. So there's a lot going on, and that's the nice thing about World Cups. There's so many matches, differently ranked teams and stuff like that. So some games have a lot of jeopardy, some of them have no jeopardy. The big thing for me is obviously that first spot, first place is up for grabs. After that, I think the 5th, 6th, 7th is interesting. Wales is going to be interesting. Wales, Australia, they could be falling quite low or rising quite high. So there's a lot to play for this weekend with regards to the rankings, if you count them all, and if you really sort of high them in high esteem, which a lot of people don't. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Can South Africa beat Ireland? Who will be the number 1 ranked side come Monday? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. My name is Wes, and we are about to get the second half underway between Scotland and Tonga. It's currently, Scotland leading at 24 points to 10. Here we do see the decision about that yellow card. Referee Carl Dixon was going to his pockets, so that's never a good sign. Let's see when he has the other conversation with the two. Well, he's got Finn Russell, obviously, because Richie is off at the moment. Or maybe that wasn't the decision. We'll wait to see. But he does appear to be going off. So no yellow card given, or red card rather, but I'm a bit perplexed, guys, to be honest. Okay, but we get underway. Here we go. King Horn kicks off. Scotland from left to right. And it is collected there by the Tongan players. Taken out the 22. Good, strong, solid run. Okay, so the card will remain a yellow card. So we do get confirmation of that. So not upgraded to a red card, which I think is incredibly lucky. For me, I think that was a red card from the start. But there is 28 seconds left on that yellow card before Tau Mopia comes back on. So incredibly lucky for him and the Tongan side. But here comes Scotland. They'll be looking to get their second half off to a good start like the first. And we see Harris here cutting back inside from the wing, finds Kinghorn then. Kinghorn off to, I think it was Richie. Russell then, Russell to Belottu. Belottu takes it to the line. Needs some support runners to be hitting on that at pace there. Eventually goes down in the contact. White then out to the big man. Russell looking for a flat pass. Nice strong run from Sutherland there. Needed a support runner. Dempsey was just a second too late. Dirge then out to Russell. Russell back inside to Van der Merwe. Looks suspiciously forward. Make sure you guys vote in the new poll here. Can Tonga come back into this game? Tupelotto now with ball on the left-hand side. What do you think? Of course, no ways, probably not, potentially. What do you think? Scotland with all the possession here, but a bit of obstruction on their attack. So the Tongan defence holding strong, resulting in a penalty. So Tonga doing well, and this should see the end of that yellow card. Vince, great to have you here in the chat. Thanks for getting engaged. Vince says, thanks Forever Sports for all the commentary and professionalism. Only found you for the England v Argentina match. Come on, Ireland. Well, we're glad you found us in the end, Vince. Make sure you stick with us throughout the whole Rugby World Cup. We are bringing every single game. So Rudy will be taking through later Oz and Wales. No doubt it'll be a good one. But yeah, we appreciate all the support. I don't know what I'd really be curious to hear from you guys if you saw that that collision between Richie and Tau Mopia. What do you think? For me, it was red card all day, but it's been reviewed and it took pretty much the whole yellow card, which is unusual, to come up with a decision. But for me, that was a red card. But Tonga only could see the yellow, so they are back to a full complement of 15. They did pay the price, though. Scotland did score multiple tries with a man advantage. But now Tonga have some meaningful possession in the Scottish 22. And they find the first job successfully. They go around the right-hand side. A nice little hands down the right-hand side, but Duan Van der Merwe pushing the big Tongan hooker Ngauamo out. Taken quickly, Russell then tries to find touch, but straight into the hands of number 14, who has been an absolute menace, has Kata. He's Tongan's only try scorer so far. Makes good ground. Captain Ben running up the field. He's over the line. The ball is down. Try time for Tonga. What a fantastic start for the Tongans. Excellent work there from that man, Kata, number 14, Solomon Kata, to make a big run upfield. And then Captain Courageous Ben Tamifuna with a surging run. Again, potentially not the smartest decision from Finn Russell or from the Scottish players to take that line out quickly, or Finn Russell not finding touch here, but excellent work. Jamarcus says Richie was almost getting onto his knees and crawling. Jamarcus, if that is the case, it is still up to the defender to get lower and not make contact with the head. There is massive onus on the defenders. No matter how low the attacking player is, you have to get low. But again, my opinion is that was red. Your opinion was not red. But I am grateful to see not a red card, because I do think that potentially we could then see one-way traffic. And we want to see the Tongans stay competitive in this game. And best chance for them to do that is having a full complement of 15 aside. Troy Wooden saying, go Tonga. Yeah, what a fantastic start to the second half. They'll be absolutely chuffed with it. Now, can they keep the pressure? Good start. They need to score next again. Vince getting behind Tonga as well. So good start for the Pacific Islanders. Troy saying Scotland could be rattled. They very well could be. They'll need to look to their senior players to settle them a bit. Say, right, boys, we're still ahead. There's no need to get rattled. Let's just continue what we were doing towards the end of the first half. But great run there from Captain Ben Tamifuna. Good work from him. So Kinghorn gets us underway again. The Scots now playing from left to right. Good high hanging kick there just inside the Tongan 22, almost up against the right-hand touchline. But neatly collected from the Tongans. Number 9, Pulu there, finding his big men. Captain Ben once again. Kata first indicated for a box kick, saying he's going to give chase, but he does seem to be pointing, saying don't. He's throwing his arms up in the air, but this will be a touch finder. Yeah, we might potentially come back. I thought we might have come back for it going straight out into touch. The Scots go with a short man line out off the top. Nicely done. Russell then unleashes, I think it was Dempsey. White then to the left. There's 2 balls on the field. Players should stop. But it was a forward pass from Kinghorn. Very, very clearly a forward pass. Somehow a second ball did get onto the field of play. But you can't really say that influenced. I don't know how Kinghorn has thrown his hands up in the air there. It's a good looping pass, but it's very, very clearly forward. Not even close. Jamarcus saying he agrees, but ask the Barrett brother how you managed to escape a ban. That's another one that I'm not quite sure how that worked out. But can't control that. Can only control what you can control. And those are the points that everyone will need to focus on. So we are having just a quick break in play here while Sutherland gets some treatment. So Richie is still off the field. Ferguson has come on now. It looks like Richie will not be returning. He's obviously failed his head injury assessment. You see, and that's another thing, potentially. Now Scotland have maybe lost one of their players for who knows how long, and their captain. So would you factor that into potentially decisions? Right, Jamarcus, though, getting on with it, saying Tonga needs to turn up the physicality and keep up the high tackles to minimum. Scots can't lose too many heads. Yeah, absolutely. I think Tonga's defense is going to be, that'll be the deciding factor. Can they get back into this game? Can they potentially get down to the Scottish territory, get a penalty, kick it over? Then you're 24-20. Then you are well within this. Ideally, a try takes you even closer, but just keep the scoreboard ticking over. Keep that pressure on the Scottish. Don't let them start to get much momentum. There we see Jamie Ritchie off. Sutherland looks like he's down again. He might need to come off permanently. He was just receiving medical treatment. That might be the end of his outing here this evening. So we do see Darcy Graham starting to get warmed up. Number 23 coming off the bench today. Yeah, Sutherland in some real pain, getting a massage at the back of his neck. Could just potentially be cramp, but the medics having a good look at what's going on. We get some stats. Tackle made, Scotland 69, nice. And Tonga 88. Tackles missed, though. The Tongans have missed 25, whereas the Scots have only missed 8 tackles. So massive difference there. But dominant tackles, Tonga making 6 dominant tackles to only Scotland's 3. So Tonga making the more dominant tackles, however, clearly missing significantly more tackles, which has allowed the Scots to get positive go-forward ball over the game line and ultimately convert that into points. Troy, do you think Pollard will start against Tonga? If there was ever a game to start him, I think that's the one. It'll be very interesting to see how that access works of Pollard back into the squad. Right, very strong scrum from both sides. Solid. Pulu now finds his backline. Aki does a lovely pass out to Salesi. Pietau, who goes for the 50-22. Kinghorn, in an effort to prevent that ball from going out, takes it over the touchline. So ultimately, the Tongans come away with a 50-meter 22, although not quite. But good eyes there from Salesi. Pietau finding the touchline. Good work from the fullback using that knowledge and experience. So we do see some Scottish substitutions here, quite a few actually, and I will let you know as soon as I get confirmation of them. But we do see White coming off, as well as Sutherland. That was expected. Carl Steyn comes off. I think he's had quite a strong outing. So Darcy Graham on the place of Carl Steyn. Right, so Tongan lineouts just inside Scottish 22. They go all the way to the back. Excellent lineout, but it does get spilled loose, so it is knocked backwards. Still with Tonga. Unfortunately, scrappy. They did well to find their jumper. There's an advantage. Don't know if it's knock-on or penalty, but Tonga with ball in hand now, and they will be looking to get onto the scoreboard next. What can they do? Can they convert pressure? 2 points. Nice, strong run. So white is off and horn is on. So we are coming back for a penalty to Tonga. So playing the jumper in the air, staying off, Graham on. If your kicker was confident, I would say go for the posts. That brings you back within 4 points. They are going to the corner though. So William Havili says, no, we're going to go to the corner. Interesting call, big call. 303 saying Rusty has just confirmed Pollard will start. Okay, very, very, very interesting stuff to see. Thank you for the update, 303. Right, Tonga here with an opportunity on the Scottish 5 meter or just 5.5 meter. Skuman on the field in place of Sunderland. They go to the back and it is spilt over the top. And it is a knock-on, and it is a Scottish scrum. So the Tongans doing the brave call to go for the line and going all the way to the back of the line out. Just a bit too high for the Tongan forward there. Again, however, I do think not the correct call. Potentially going for the posts, I think would have been a better call. Almost guaranteed 3 points, more or less. And sort of just puts you back in the game again. Then you've scored twice in the second half, and the Scots have yet to score. But anyway, can't go back in time. We will have a Scottish scrum here just outside the 5 meter. So still a pressure situation. Tonga can look to exert pressure and hopefully force an error. Scrum goes down. We'll have a reset. As we see a shot of bagpipes in the crowd. Now that's awesome if you like bagpipes. That must absolutely suck if you don't like bagpipes. being next to that oak. I mean, great spirits in the geest, but yeah, sure. Okay, reset scrum on about the 6 or 7 meter. And Tonga will look to exert quite a bit of pressure here. See if they can force a mistake and get possession back. It was a good scoring opportunity they had, unfortunately squandered. Careful not to push too early. Horn waiting quite a while before putting the ball in. Scrum does disintegrate, but it is a Scottish penalty. And so what goes from positive from Tonga, with the potential to get within 4 points, ultimately a mistake at the line out, mistake at scrum time, and you just allow the Scots an easy pressure-free exit from their 22. But don't count them out just yet. 51 minutes done, still plenty of time to go. We will have a Scottish line-out just inside Scottish territory. We start to see the Tongans get some of their replacements on. Number 16, Molly is on for their hooker, Ngau Amo, who I thought had a solid game, threw well at the line-outs for the most part, with a few overthrows. So Molly will look to come in and try and tidy this up. As I said, Scottish line-out just inside the Scottish half. Turner has been excellent all afternoon, I thought. Goes to the back, finds Gray. It's not straight, but here come the Tongans. So it's been slapped forward, but it has been slapped forward indeed, and then played on by the Tongans. First infringement, you would have thought not straight, but good pressure there from the Tongans. So we will have a Scottish scrum. Yeah, to me, it looked very not straight, but a clear knock-on. Eugene, thank you so much in the chat. Great commentary. Thank you. No, thank you. Appreciate you getting involved. And that reminds me, guys, if you haven't already, really make sure you like the video. It just helps us and helps the YouTube algorithm know that this is a legit stream that you guys are enjoying. It sort of separates which ones are illegal streams from the legitimate ones. So we really appreciate the engagement, appreciate your guys' candor and banter in the chats. And just your general support. Thank you so much for joining us here on Forever Rugby. Right, here we go. Horn out to Graham getting involved early on. Tupelatu making a strong run up centre field. Horn again then to Russell, takes it to the line, tries to stab one through, but collected by Celeste Pietau. Won't find touch, has to make sure he gets all his players on side, does so. Back to Russell. Russell then off to Horn, Horn to Graham. Graham with the ball in hand, a bit of space. Gets around one, gets around two. Great first run by Darcy Graham. Horn out to his big men. Russell, nice flat pass, lovely, into some space to the big number 5, Cummings, looking for support, running up, finding it, go down to touch. Russell then out to Blair Kinghorn. Kinghorn to Dempsey, nice little shift on pass that did look like it went forward, but play on so far. Duan Fundamenta with the ball in hand, shrugging off 1 and 2. This is now more Duan Fundamenta. We know gets the offload off to the left-hand side, and George Horn looks like he has scored in the corner. So excellent bit of work from the Scottish there. Lovely interplay in broken play. I did think Dempsey's quick hands went forward there to Duan Fundamenta. I wonder if we'll go back to have a look at that. But good work from the big man, Duan Fundamenta, to stay on his feet with ball in hand, where I thought he should have been tackled first time. So that's where those missed tackles are coming in. But it all came from a good run from Darcy Graham up the right-hand side, sucking in Tongan defenders. And here we see again Finn Russell find a flat pass to Cummings in a bit of space. But then again, not forcing the offload, which is, again, I think something South Africa did last week. So here we see Blake and Horn. No, fair enough to Dempsey. That went flat. It didn't look forward. So good work to shove off number 14 of Tonga, Kata, for Duan Fundamenta, and then does well to get the ball away to George Horn, who's just come on and scored a try. So he'll be stoked with that. So again, Scotland now the next team to score. And again, you feel would have been very different had Tonga potentially taken those 3 points, made it 24-20. Now it looks to be 29-17 with the kick to come. Very difficult kick, though, all the way on the left-hand side, 50 meters. He's missed one from a similar position earlier on. But he's made adjustments and he's slotted that one. So Finn Russell sorting out any issues from that side. And that takes us to 31 points to 17. So Scotland back with a comfortable lead here. 55 minutes done. So talking about those missed tackles again, going high on Duan Fundamenta is never a recommended option. Alan Robinson saying the Celtic nations are doing well. Great to see. Now, question, do you say Celtic or Celtic? Is it just, can you say either? Please, some education would be appreciated. But yeah, fantastic to see the Scots are doing well. Tonga very much in this game, but again, just a bit of discipline letting them down, unfortunately. Always enjoy seeing the Pacific Island nations doing well. Obviously, Fiji in great form at the moment. Samoa not quite in the same, I would say, as the Fijians or the Tongans. I do think the Tongans are looking better than the Samoans. So nice up and under there and collected by Kinghorn, who gets it out to George Horn. And Russell hoops it downfield. 50-22 is on, but the ball looks like it's going to bounce a bit too long. And great pressure by Darcy Graham there. So it was picked up by number 11, the yellow card holder earlier on, Tau Mapuia, who then had to make a kick quickly. And as a result, just completely sliced it off his boot. So we will have a Scottish line-out in the Tongan 22. So the Scots with all the momentum at the moment. Yeah, not a great touch finder there by the winger. So some substitutes. Pulu is off and Takulua is on. So scrum half, I think Augustine Pulu has had a great game for the Tongans. I think he's been excellent. Ball service has been quite quick. He's been accurate with his passing. Right, the Scots go to the middle of the line out, but it is not straight. So there we go, unforced error. The Scots just letting themselves down, getting into a good position. Darcy Graham's pressure rather, but not a straight throw. Unfortunate there from, I believe it's still Turner on the field, or is he off? And maybe it's Ewan Ashman. I'll wait to see. No, it is still Turner. Has not thrown straight into the lineout, unfortunately. And Robinson saying, okay, so Celtic. Thank you very much for that. So the Celtic nations. Ronnie, great to have you back in the chat. Just got home now, mate. Bring on the Scots. Great to have you here with us, Ronnie. We spoke about it a bit earlier, gents, and everyone else who's just joined us in the chat. We spoke about the South Africa-Ireland game. And what a game that was. I feel like the Boks didn't quite play their best. I don't think Ireland did either. Not too concerned. Not too concerned. I think had we played, excellent rugby and still defeated, I think then there'd be more cause for concern. But well done to Ireland, proving why they are number one. Right, out we go from the back of the scrum. It does collapse, but the ref says play on. Here come Tonga with a great, strong barging run up out of their 22. So this is better. So Takulua now at 9. Takulua finds his big men. They crash it up. Fekitoa a bit slow, but I think he's just fixing his boots. Excuse me, not Fekitoa, it's number 3. And then a penalty gained for being offside. So again, Scotland just infringing there. Great pressure from the Scottish, but potentially a bit too eager. Excuse me, and just alleviating all that pressure. So 58 minutes done, coming up to the 60-minute mark. Havili looks to drive us downfield, does so well. Finds touch in the Scottish half, just outside their 22s. Good opportunity here for Tonga to try and get some points on the board. Indeed, last night's game was a nail-biter, a real arm wrestle back and forth. Right, a few more substitutions for Scotland, 16 on and 18 on, I believe. So off goes Ferguson. On comes Ewan Ashman and Viapia Nell. But Tongan lineouts, they go again, overthrow, but intentionally. Nice, out to 12, then back inside to 14. Nice little innovation there. Takulua, fat pass, able to pick it up. Good momentum from the Scots. Takulua, and bobbles the ball and spills it forward, unfortunately. So Tonga not able to convert on that. But here are the Scots. Russell says, none of that. We're going to hoof that downfield. Does so excellently. Great kick from him. 50-22 on, potentially. Nope. Talesi Piutau up to clean things up at the back. Now Fekitoa. And Fekitoa looks to clear. But again, a territory and possession win for the Scots there. So really unfortunate the Tongans just not able to hang on to that ball and exert any kind of sustained pressure, potentially finding a way through. Really unfortunate. Great kick by Finn Russell. Massive kick by Finn Russell. Ronnie, I'm glad you didn't have a stroke. But we'll see the Irish back in the final. Hopefully. Right. Scottish lineouts. Dodge has to clean up, does well to stay on his feet. Eventually then brought down Horn to Dempsey. Again, who I think's had a solid game. I'm a fan of Dempsey. It is stolen, though. Excellent work from the Tongan defence there to turn that over. So they do have the penalty. They're trying to have a look to run it from the left-hand side here. Darcy Graham comes up quickly. The referee's blown the whistle, so we'll go back. No advantage gained. So not releasing. So Tonga now again with the opportunity to get up the field and into a better position. Was number 4, Halaleva Fifita, getting over a strong low position and then just getting hands on the ball and not letting go. Excellent work from the big man. But while we wait for them to get into position, William Havili is going to kick up. I've got a shout out to Boyle Sports, one of our channel partners. So huge thank you to Boyle Sports. Again, if you guys think you know what's going to happen, I know we will, or most of us do our SUPERBRUs. But if you want to maybe make it a bit more exciting, put some money on it, then why not check out Boyle Sports? The link's down in the description below. Again, they've got that R1,000 sign-up bonus. So they'll match you up to $1,000. There's never been a better time to join. So make sure you go check them out in the chat. And if you're not sure where to start, Chris has got some fantastic tips. Again, we go over the back of the line out. However, it is not straight here from the Tongans. So again, doing themselves absolutely no favors, doing the good work and then relieving all sorts of pressure there. But yeah, you can see clearly actually even behind the Tongan side of the line out. So not a good throw there from the Tongan hooker, who's just come on, I believe, Sam Molly. Great support for the Tongans in the crowd, though. Excellent to see the sea of red and white. I imagine good Scottish support as well. So Scottish scrum on the 10-meter in their half. No one on the blind side. Solid scrum. It does go down. Referee says play on. Right, Horn then out to Tubelotu. Tubelotu flat, I think, was it Kinghorn there? Russell high into the sky. Is knocked backwards by Salesi Pietau, but no harm, no foul. Has to clear, does find touch. He ran into a Scottish player going down, so wasn't able to put his side on, but he does find touch. Again, a territory win for the Scottish. You would expect better from Salesi Pietau, just having that ball go over his head. Very difficult to collect. So 62 minutes gone. We have got a poll up. Can Tonga come back into this game? Might be interested to get some score predictions. So we're speaking about, and the Scots haven't won their own lineout. So Tonga here, the lineout's proving to be a real issue for both sides. Long looping pass, and then it's eventually knocked on. So no advantage gain. So we will go back for the knock on at the lineout. So nine handling errors from the Scottish, straight through the hands of Richie Gray. And then lovely long pass from Aki here, and just Salisi Piotr not being able to collect that one again. But as I was saying before we got going, what do we think final score? So 31-17. Do we think the Scots can hang on? Can they put any more points on? They've got the bonus points, which they will be after. They will be keen to try and keep Tonga out of the losing bonus points. And obviously Tonga is going to be looking to try and turn the tide. What do we think final scores might be? Crowd absolutely loving it. Right, so Tongan scrum on the 15, just outside the 22. It's solid. Pick and go from Kalutua. Nice feed there to Aki. And pick and go, a little hand out the back again. The Tongans maybe getting a bit loose now, trying to feel the pressure and trying things that potentially they just need to keep nice and tight. So Taku Lua finding Big 21 who steams up the field via Lanu. Takulua out the big men, then to Fekitoa, hands it off. And the Scots have stripped that, so opportunity to counter-attack here inside. Where is the support? Here they come. Scottish number 16, Ewan Ashman running, and Tigger eventually going down. Just on the 22, Horn there, deemed to have knocked the ball onwards. Horn is furious, but disappointed, understandably so, George Horn. Great effort by Captain Ben Tamifuna, still on the field, and for a prop to be putting the work that he is and getting over the park like he is at 65 minutes is excellent work. Right, 19 comes on, and for Scotland, that is Sam Skinner. And we are seeing Richie Gray going off. And they're chatting about the Six Nations. So I do enjoy the Six Nations. Yeah, it's going to be a cracking one. I think, Ireland, obviously, if things continue, are the informed team. I think you then have to say probably then Scotland. England and Wales, still a bit of enigmas. I think England are building nicely. Wales will not have been happy with their performance last week, and we will have to see what they can dig out against Australia tonight, which is going to be absolutely cracking. It is now my chance not to stress too much about a game and enjoy a good match between the two sides. So Scrum goes down, but they do manage to get it out. Good, strong run by Aki there. I think he's been solid all game. He's constantly got over the gain line. His hands have been solid. So excellent performance there from the Tongan number 12. Good, strong run from number 4, Pifita. Just outside the 22, though. So Tonga's still in a tricky position. Havili playing a bit of a stepping game. Kind of selling out Fekitoa. Not a great position. Who was that? One of the Scottish players doing well to get up there and really disrupt that. Skuman gets the honours, but it was, I think, just waiting for him to turn around, was number 19, the new man, or Adam Coleman, who's been on. He got up in the face of Havili, caused him to try and step, and then Havili just forcing a pass out to Fekitoa. So Scotland have gone for the line, and Russell has found them great bit of territory, prime real estate, just on the Tongan 5 metre. So Scotland will be looking to score once again. And I think we are eventually seeing Captain Ben Tamiafuna coming off as he applauds the crowd. 66 minutes. It's been a massive effort by him. I think he scrummed really well. He's been all over the park, but Scotland, centre of the line out to Adam Coleman. Does go down for the driving more. Number 16, Ewan Ashman has it at the back, moves sideways, not really forward. Now it splinters, creeps its way forward. Now it's the back. 20 has it, Matt Ferguson, who's coming a lot earlier than he would have expected to. Skuman trying to do that. Ball comes loose. It does go backwards. Scotland able to keep it well. Tupolotu coming in there with a crucial clean out. Good work from the Scottish number 12. Horn feeds Skuman. George Horn, the forwards now picking and going around the side. Advantage, penalty advantage to Scotland. So freedom to do something cool here. What will they do? Finn Russell getting sort of caught on the wrong side and it all going horribly wrong. But there is a penalty advantage, so we will come back to the penalty. Russell wanting to go quickly, potentially, looking for something. He does, he taps and goes and gives it to the big man. I think it was Skuman who takes it in. So Russell wasting no time. That wasn't Skuman because now that's Skuman. So potentially via Pianel. Darge not finding much ground. Horn, oh, the Tongans going offside. But no advantage. Ashman met strongly in the tackle, 4 meters out. The left-hand side of the post. Nice little in and out there. Pivot Skuman coming so close from the line. A paper airplane has made its way onto the field and hit one of the players. Matt Ferguson, 1 meter from the line. You feel like it is inevitable here. Tupolotu quickly to Russell. Russell flat to the line. Kinghorn, Blair Kinghorn finds his way over the line for Scotland. Excellent work from the Scottish there to keep up the pressure. Good clinicality around the pick and goes. Doing it very well and slowly but surely shutting out this game, extending their lead. Blake Kinghorn with his first try of Rugby World Cup 2023. We know he can score them quite easily. Yeah, a little bit of in and out there. Nice work from the forwards. And then Tupolotu again standing at first receiver. Teams expecting him to crash it up, but then releasing Finn Russell and William Havili just kind of being in no man's land, trying to split himself between Kinghorn and I think Darcy Graham was on the right-hand side. So the Scots going over for another try, and you do feel like this mountain might be a bit too high for the Tongans to climb, but we have seen how quickly they can score. So I wouldn't write them off just yet. So Finn Russell missing a kick from a similar position earlier on. Has he made the correct adjustments? He goes very quickly to pick up his tee. And yes, he has. Slots that one. So Finn Russell learning from mistakes made before. Slotting it nicely now to a commanding 38 points to 17. Unfortunately, I think the Tongans will be disappeared there. Feel like they were really in this game with a shot, and they were. And then just a few unforced areas and maybe incorrect decisions. Nadini, Susan in the chat, how's it going? Great to have you here. Ronnie, we're away. I can't even look at the chat because Duan Fanamova is storming down the left-hand side. Gets round one. Lots of Tongan defenders. He's looking for support. Throws a pass to the right. Picks out Tuipolatu. Darcy Graham was screaming for it. It is a knock-on though, so it will be Tongan support. Darcy Graham absolutely livid. He was in acres of space, and potentially if Tuipolatu could have gotten that ball away, we would have seen another Scottish try. But great run from Duan Fanamova. Came from the kickoff. Nice work there from one of the forwards, unleashing Duan Fanamova, getting around one, getting around two. Aki just missing the ankle tap. And Duan Fanamova in open space is so dangerous. Getting around Pietau, stepping on the inside of Havili. Solid pass out here to his right or left hand, his right hand side. And no, excuse me, it was Hugh Jones who ultimately fumbled that ball. So not Tuipolatu. Hugh Jones just couldn't get that ball loose and set free Darcy Graham. Okay, so Tongan scrum now, about 10 meters out from their try line. Yeah, Ronnie, I agree. One tournament at a time. Scotland Ireland will be a belter. That's going to be an absolute cracker, so we'll have to wait and see. So Tongans pick and go from the back. Huge number 21 via Lanu, making good meters for his side, taking them just inside the 22. Takulua looking for some sort of a protection there. He boxes well, doesn't quite find touch, finds Darcy Graham, who offloads to Kinghorn. Kinghorn now looking to run it. Short ball to Duan Fanamova through a half gap, but brought down just. Ball is stolen legally. Darcy Graham then kicks it through. There's no one home. Darcy Graham's in a foot race with two of the Tongans, but it will go just too long. The ball ultimately winning there. But that was looking dangerous here from Scotland in the last 9 minutes. So I see Pietau and William Havili chasing back, but the ball winning that race in the end. So we'll come back for another Tongan scrum. $38 points to 17. 8 and a bit minutes to go. Scotland will have achieved, I think, what they wanted to do. Definitely the bonus points. That would have been, I think the win is the first goal, bonus point is the second, and now it's just about that points differential. How much can they extend that lead by? Something they will look to do. Because, yeah, if Tongan takes South Africa to task and Scotland are able to rain on Ireland's parade, potentially, this pool gets thrown wide open. Very, very exciting. So Tongan scrum just before the 10-meter in their half. They are lined up on the left-hand side. There is a decent blind side, though, with one of the Tongan players out there on the right-hand side. Takulua feeds, the scrum wheels. It is a short arm there for Scotland. So Tonga just not being able to... and they are marched 10 meters up the field. Probably for words had they with the referee. Referee's having none of that. And the Scottish say, well, we're just going to call a scrum. So we'll have a reset, but about 10 meters further down the field, and a change in possession. So good attacking platform for the Scottish here. Again, Tongan defense, potentially a bit of frustration leaking through there. Yeah, we will have to see, Alan, what tonight's game will look like. I think, you know, what I'm expecting from Wales, again, Australia, you just don't know what you're going to get. I think from Wales, I'd expect to see a much more clinical, sort of well put together performance. We know they can play well. We know they can play good rugby. It's just a matter of, can they actually deliver? Right, here comes Scotland on the charge. Russell out to Kinghorn. Kinghorn through himself. Momentum might just take him there, but he's brought down just short. Again, Graham in acres of space, but Kinghorn thought he was across. Ball is over the line, but it is indeed held up. So it will be a goal line, a dropout. Darcy Graham can't buy a try for love nor money. But to be fair, it did look like Blair Kinghorn was through. So again, using Tuipulotu, then Finn Russell, getting through, and an excellent cover tackle from Aki. Try-saving tackle. If ever there was a definition of a try-saving tackle, that is it. Great work from the Tongan inside centre here. So they go deep out to Kinghorn. Finds Finn Russell. Finn Russell looks, goes left to Dempsey. Dempsey via Purnell takes it forward. Disrupted on the floor, but still with Scotland. Tuipulotu going sideways, then shoots upwards. Horn. Out to Coleman. Slow ball for the Scottish, and the Tongan player not rolling away, so advantage here for Scotland. So what will they look to do? They come to the right. Coleman again. Finn Russell. Russell out to Blake Kinghorn. Innocent goes inside. Not sure where to go. Blake Kinghorn ultimately taking it into contact. George Horn then to the left. Out now. Russell. Coleman. He's got involved. Tries to do an offload in the tackle. Dempsey with the ball, but loose. Should still be penalty advantage. Out to Cummings, who's still on the field, and he's had a great game. Ball is bubbled a little bit. Skuman dummies goes himself. Jeepers. Dodge taken off the ball. Penalty, so new penalty advantage. Russell then. It's good sustained pressure, phase 9 from Scotland. Russell, Kinghorn, switches inside with Darcy Graham. Darcy Graham then swallowed up. Ashman taking it into contact well. George Horn dummies goes himself through a half gap, but now isolated. So you do expect this to be turned over, but no advantage gained. So we will come back for the no wrap and taking a man out without the ball penalty. So you do expect the Scots to go for the line here. About 4.5 minutes left. Some tired bodies out there. And Duan van der Merwe has been named man of the match, I believe. Had 10 ball carries and 144 meters made. So he's had a good performance again. He scored a try. A good performance from the Scottish wing again, getting back to winning ways. So the Scots do indeed go for the line. First job, kick it out well, done. Second job, win the line out. So Ewan Ashman will look to get this straight. Finds Cummings, it's disrupted well by the Tongans. So second job not done, manages to hang on. So Tongan ball now. Again, the Scottish just letting themselves down there. Aki, nice skip pass to number 11, who shoves off Darcy Graham and then sets off himself. So good work from Tau Mopia. Taken into contact. It is a maul, so we expect this ball to be turned over unless it can come out immediately. The ball has gone to the ground. Referee hasn't quite signaled anything just yet. But we are going to the TMO. So ref wants to check something, and we will see what he wants to have a look at. So TMO is getting involved, normally for foul play. Could it be from number 8? That's quite clear. So number 8, via Fifita, comes into that maul, which is going to the ground, and absolutely smashes Finn Russell's head. So he is going to his pocket. It's really a question of yellow or red. The Tongans have escaped 1 red card tonight, so it is a yellow card with a review. Wait for that confirmation. There we go. We see the confirmation there. So Tonga earning their second yellow card. And it is under review. Again, not really necessary potentially in that maul, which was going down, to come in uncontrolled and yeah, finding Finn Russell's head. Ronnie, absolutely a pleasure to bring you coverage. Really appreciate you getting involved and yeah, supporting us with the viewership. Glad to bring you some coverage of rugby in Mexico. I can imagine it's not the easiest to find out in the country. Right, the Scottish have gone to the centre of the line out. They've thrown it straight. They've got it to the back. It is in the safe hands of Ian Ashman. The Scottish forwards trying to move it forwards, being told to use it, not going anywhere. Ian Ashman picks and goes himself. The Tongans over that ball strongly, and they do strip it, and it is eventually taken out. So it will be, I believe, they're just checking here. Jamarcus not happy with the ref. Yeah, I do feel like that should have been Tonga's call there, or Tonga's ball rather. I feel like the Tongans were over Ewan very, very quickly. Hands on that ball, right to it. There we go. We see that. Yeah, no, Jamarcus, I'm 100% there with you. I do feel like that should have been a penalty to the Tongans for the Scottish players. Oh, bless me, not releasing. Thanks, Alan. Always appreciated. I'm very, very excited for tonight's game. It's going to be a good one. Okay, so 2 minutes to go. Scottish scrum is fed. That is solid. It's starting to move its way up the field, but it is a Tongan penalty. So the Tongan forwards there potentially getting a bit of justice, able to turn that around. So they'll need to move quickly here. They've not got a lot of time, minutes and a bit to go, but it is not a fantastic touch finder. So still in their half. They will be without a man until the end of the game. I wonder when we will hear about that decision, whether to upgrade it from a yellow to a red for Fifita, number 8. So line out goes a bit messy, but territory and possession still here with Tonga. Halaleva Fifita now number 4, picking and going from the back. Takulua out to the right. Strong tackle by the Scots there, though, making a mess at ruck time. Pick and go around from 21. He does spill it forward. Indeed, there is a knock on. So we will have a Scottish scrum to pretty much see out this game. That's 79 minutes, 39 seconds. So this will be the last play of the game. Will Scotland try and get one more try? I feel like absolutely they will. Thanks, Jamarcus. You guys are too kind here. Appreciate it. Happy to bring you this and looking to get better each game. So always appreciate the feedback. But thanks, guys. Right, so the poll is completed. Let's see, most of us say no ways. A good percentage of us saying of course. But it doesn't look like Tonga will find a way back into this game. Last play here. The Scots, I think, will undoubtedly be going for a try, trying to get as much or as many points out of this encounter as possible. It's a solid scrum. Pick and go from the back. Horn then comes to the left. Russell, long pass out to Blair Kinghorn, runs it back inside, finds a bit of space. He's through. Needs to make sure he's not isolated. Darge then playing 9 out to Dempsey. Dempsey over again. You feel like the Tongans are there, and the Tongans are there. So able to get a penalty and be walked back 10 meters. George Horn potentially just losing his cool, costing him side an extra 10 meters. Finn Russell having plenty of words with Carl Dixon. But the Tongans now will look to move this ball up the field. They will still want to see if they can get something out of this game. One more try potentially doesn't get them within the bonus point, the losing bonus point. But that is a great touch finder there from the Tongans. So job 1 done, find touch. Job 2, find your jumper. Right, here we go. They go to the back and they do not find their jumper. So it is knocked forward. Dodge then finds Russell. It's backwards. Russell then out to the right-hand side of Tupulotu. Jones, I believe. A little hot stepping through, gets his arms free, offloads George Horn off to Darcy Graham. Darcy Graham in open space, has Tupulotu to the right. Darcy Graham backs himself. Darcy Graham for the line. The Scots will come away with one more try. Darcy Graham has finally been able to get himself a try. He said, you know what, guys, if you don't want to pass me the ball, I'm going to make it myself. An excellent bit of work there. Individual talent from Darcy Graham. We know how explosive he can be. So great try there for the Scottish winger. Feel like he was owed one after all that being skipped out from his fellow colleagues. But great work there from the pocket rocket. Excellent work from him. So here we see the replay. Very messy, but Scotland doing well to tidy it up eventually. Now, good strong run there. And then a pop off the deck. Nice little inside pass. And Graham's able to evade one, step around Alessi Pietau, and then it was off to the races. And not many people are going to catch Darcy Graham. So Finn Russell will look to add the final points. And does so with no problem. So 45 points to 17. The scoreline, potentially a bit unfair to Tonga. I do feel like it doesn't reflect the opportunities, the moments they were in the game more. And I absolutely agree with Jamarcus there, saying Tonga just lacked discipline and composure. Scotland deserved the win. Yeah, I think Scotland were the better side, no doubt about that. I do think Tonga just got themselves into the game and then unfortunately let off the pressure with a few unforced errors. Maybe the wrong decision. I still feel like when they had that penalty close to the post, they went for the corner instead of the 3 points. I think that for me was a pivotal one. Rather get yourself back to within 5, and then you have an opportunity. So still no word on that yellow card with the review. We will have to wait and see for that. We will update you guys as soon as we know. But interesting to see what might come of this as we wait to find out. But guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Always a pleasure to bring you the coverage. That was quite an entertaining game. Disappointing from a Tongan perspective. I think encouraging from a Scottish perspective. They struggled to find penetration in the first 20 minutes, but then when they were able to tidy things up, it did start to look really good, and their attack did start to have some bite. So thank you so much. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. That'll be next weekend. I'll be taking you guys through. But make sure you check out Rudy's stream. He will be bringing you the game between Australia and Wales, which is undoubtedly going to be a cracker. So hope you all are looking forward to that. As always, absolute pleasure, guys. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Huge thank you to our channel sponsors, BOYLESPORTS and BITDEFENDER.